And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to another cast of the TVA schedule. As we tune in, it'll be myself as well as LestForce joining us in here in a moment as we're already getting draft underway. Les, welcome in. I know it's been about a week since we last cast. Anything new going on that you want to share real quick?
No, I don't know if this was supposed to be bringing anything up, but no, everything's going good in the TV organization. The main roster picking up a lot of scrim time this weekend. I think we played about 9 games in total. And then obviously for the Academy squad, they've got themselves a huge matchup here today against Sensei Randal's intermediate Squadron, round 2.
Definitely excited to get this underway. I know we alluded to it a little bit last week regarding the importance, really, of every game at this point in the season, but specifically this matchup for TVA. Huge playoff implications, and I think that really mimics what we're starting to see already in draft from both teams. A lot of power picks coming out here, just in terms of the meta state. We do have the Yuumi Maokai Renekton, a very strong first 3 picks for the side of TVA. I think the Yuumi Maokai combination is going to be quite scary for the side of Sensei Randal's to fight into, regardless of what they pick. But they're able to match that with the Sejuani Yone Seraphine. Very strong and flexible, I'd say, first 3. You know the Yone can play either of the solo lanes. Sejuani, you can flex between top jung if you're LestForce, potentially throw it into the support role. Then, of course, you do have the Seraphine that can swap into either mid or bot lane. So very strong and flexible picks from the side of Sensei Randal's. Just very strong picks in general from the side of Team Volatility as they lock in the hyper carry with Jinx as well. Very spicy draft coming through here. Honestly, I don't know if I give the edge to one side or the other. I know I'm not a big Renekton fan, but I think it's very evenly matched. What are your thoughts so far on the draft?
Well, that second phase of the draft just went by so incredibly quickly that I think they locked in the last 3 champs in a span of about 6 seconds. Yone top, I know that that is an Andy Gwen pick, as I do play it in some in-houses with in one of their servers, and I have seen it firsthand. It is one of his best champs. Renekton can do well into the matchup, so I expect a camp to come out with a PTA and try to win lane approach here, as you're probably not winning a Jinx Yuumi into Lucian Nami lane, though at the same time, with the change to Nami without having the electrocute buff, Yuumi may be able to sustain things well enough for the side of TVA. And then for the first time this season, we're seeing the Shiv LeBlanc, which is going into the Seraphine. There's really not much of anything, in my mind, that Seraphine can do about the LeBlanc other than trying to shove the wave, stay back. But if LeBlanc gets in on her, there's really not much she's going to do to get herself out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really like the LeBlanc pick, especially after you already have 4 mid lane bans thrown at you, and you're still able to get a power pick. And I think it matches well into the Lucian Nami as well. Regardless of how much that bot lane potentially snowballs, you're going to have the threat of one of these spooky LeBlancs always in the back of your head saying, where's she at, where's she at? She's going to be able to 100 to 0 me. So really, I think that's a very smart pick. In terms of draft, it looks like there was a mess up in the client draft, so they're just looking to restart that now and get it going, which is nice because then it gives us a little more time to talk. I do think it's interesting, though, that in Phase 2 we do see the Sivir ban from Sensei Randal. I think it makes sense considering we did have the Yuumi first pick, but specifically in terms of comfort for the side of Team Volatility, Giron gets his Jinx, and especially when you're enabled by a Maokai and a Yuumi in these team fights, I'm really going to put a lot of investment into this Jinx if I'm the side of TVA. Really look to have that Renekton as a bridge in the early game, and then look to have the threat of Jinx and LeBlanc in a team fight in the late game. I think it's a very smooth composition. I'm very happy if I'm the side of TVA. I think it's a lot of comfort and just some strong picks across the board.
Now, for those who may not remember, these teams did face off back in week 2. There was a great snafu in which Unfortunately, Shiv's computer seemed to have mentally boomed that day, and just for whatever reason, the client could not load, and so they had to swap him out with Galson, who had to first time the Irelia in a tournament setting. He did his best. Hopefully, Shiv did do a little warm up to get the jitters out of his computer here before loading in today. Uh, but they did play the Jinx in their original series. They did play the Renekton. Looking at the stat sheet, the Renekton did okay, not amazing. They did play the Jinx in the game one. Again, it was paired with the Lux that time, and I think they're looking for a little bit more of a passive lane here this time. I think that this team has kind of realized that they are a play-through Shiv in the mid lane type team, with the lanes just kind of doing their job to help facilitate that, get into the mid game. So, game has some big implications here. I believe that TVA is out of first place if they lose this game, as Sensei Randal's is undefeated so far, while TVA is 4-4 or 2-2 in terms of series. If they do win here today, I do believe they keep themselves in contention for the first spot, but they will need some help from, I believe it's Anima Gaming next week. So, looking forward to seeing if TVA has come up with the right game plan to take down the big dogs.
In general, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of the comfort that Andy Gwen has on Yone. Outside of that, are you really comfortable with these eggs in the basket, if you will, into a Lucian as a primary source of damage? Again, we know the Yone is going to be quite a comfort pick, but specifically being matched by the Renekton, which we did see early on, you would think that the Yone is not going to be able to snowball as fast. Potentially, especially with the Maokai Renekton lane, I think that could be quite obnoxious for the Yone if TVA does decide to look topside. For me, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing a Seraphine Lucian Nami into a LeBlanc, and I just can't get over the threat that has. The Seraphine and Nami are just not going to be able to react in time for a 100-0 burst. But I definitely see outplay available for both sides of the aisle. If you had to compare the two sides, who do you think walked away victorious in this draft?
If we're looking at the draft, I mean, I think that TVA has the tools to win out. I think it's going to come down to how that topside does into the itemization against the Yone and Lucian. I think a Maokai, an item like a Raino's Omen could be pretty strong here, kind of negate a lot of their primary damage, because if the Yone and the Lucian aren't able to tear through the Maokai, through the Renekton, I don't necessarily think you're going to get enough damage from a Seraphine and a Sejuani to do that, whatsoever. And, I think unbiased opinion here, I think I do have to go with the side of TVA coming out here with the better game one draft. But obviously, it's not draft that matters. It is the execution.
No, definitely agree on that. I think we've learned from years of experience at this rate that no matter how you feel coming out of draft, if you're not able to perform on the Rift, you're going to suffer the consequences. And I think that's something that we can bring up with both of these comps, that if one team does start off the game on the wrong foot, I think both of these comps can snowball so hard. Specifically, you look at the Jinx LeBlanc on the side of TVA. If either one of them start to really snowball and get ahead in the early game, it's going to be quite tough for the side of Sensei Randalls to deal with it. I think both comps, like you said, really have the tools to win. And then on the side of Sensei Randalls, we did talk about how the Renekton was picked just so that way we can see the early game prowess into the Yone. But if the Sejuani is somehow able to pair with the Yone, that's definitely a 2v2 that I love personally. I think the Yone could be a big problem for the side of TVA. The Yone, of course, having a variety of builds. They could go the shield bow, they could go the Aegis into Bork. I'm going to assume that it's going to be the Aegis into Bork, just so that way you have that extended sustainability along with the Nami Seraphine. Definitely could be wrong there. Andy Gwen, a Chad player himself, definitely don't want to rule out the crit build along with the the sustain that comes with it as well. So I think it's really, no pun intended, volatile in terms of both sides. Like, this matchup is really just a powder keg waiting to blow. We have about 40 seconds until we're able to get in with the spectator delay, and I am
Yep.
ready.
Just if you could remember to pull up the stream on Discord so that I can also watch this game.
I suppose I can do that. I was really hoping we could just have that telepathy link and you could really just know exactly what I'm seeing.
Absolutely, yeah. If only. League is a bit of a hard game to have an opinion on blind, you know. So why it's amazing that Lee Sin's able to do as well as he does.
Echolocation. I don't know if that's in his lore or not, but that's definitely what I'm going with. In general, here we are loading in. I'm very curious. Is there anything that you're anticipating in terms of keystones or summoners that you think could come out here to be just really catching the opponent off guard? Or are you more so anticipating a more very anticipated game in that regard, considering the importance of this matchup?
I mean, maybe we see like the first strike Lucian. I know I've seen that on a handful of occasions, and maybe if you're, oh, well, actually, there it is. I know a lot of times Lucian goes PTA, but I feel like maybe in this matchup they don't think they necessarily have the kill pressure with the PTA. So looking to get that extra gold into the mid game, I can kind of see the logic there. Nothing else here really calling out to a huge surprise. There is the PTA on the Renekton that we expected. And then Airy on Yumi. That I think that's the more standard option, though. Playing first strike is quite fun on the Yumi, especially now that she builds much more AP these days.
Yeah, I think in general you could definitely see a take from both sides, especially when you are going against an undefeated team. Potentially throwing a curveball their way might be able to be an option to get you an advantage. But I think in this specific matchup, TVA is just looking for pure comfort, and they definitely got it. I think that also makes sense, specifically in a game one. If you're able to use game one basically as a, not a limit tester, but just some type of analysis, so you know, do I need to pull out that curveball, or is us playing on comfort enough to get the job done? So it definitely makes sense from that regard as well, as we do see a five-man strong invade coming out from the side of Sensei Randal's to no avail. Giron playing smart enough. They are able to get a ward down onto the blue buff as they back out as well, as you do see Voodoo Mama Juju and Akant getting an early ward onto the blue side in exchange. Shiv, as usual, jumping forward, nice and aggressive, are already getting that electrocute proc onto the Seraphine. In terms of summoner spells, again, very straightforward. It is interesting to see the exhaust top lane for the Yone. I would have expected either a teleport or an ignite. I just think once he gets on top of somebody, you really want that extra damage. I do think it makes sense, though, if you are looking for LeBlanc to be matching you in a side wave. I guess I can see it from that regard. I think the side of TVA is going to take note to the spot lane, just being a little bit cheeky. Along with that ward, you are going to know the Sejuani's not going to have too strong of a leash. It looks like the Maokai is trying to do a double camp here. We'll see if that does bite him in the butt. It looks like the Sejuani does have a pretty clear tempo lead. We're looking across the lanes. Looks like both bot wave and top wave are going to be shoving just ever so slightly. It looks like Giron is playing a little passive as well. It definitely makes sense into the Lucian Nami. You do not want to let this lane snowball. If you're the junglers on either side, where are you looking?
I think if I'm on either side, I mean, I think both these champs have the tools to go for a gank. I think it was a smart spot by the Sejuani to path towards the bot lane, where I think you have the Lucian Nami get to level 3, look for a really good all-in on the Jinx Yumi, as you do see the Lucian going in there with the Nami combo. Pop quiz, do you remember the button combination to zoom out?
It was Control Shift X, is that correct?
Control Shift Z.
Ah, it was close enough. You know, one of these weeks I'm going to remember that. We do see a lot of trading going hard, both honestly in all three lanes. I think this is really a jungler's best dream, if you will. We won't get too rated R here. But in general, I think Andy Gwen's getting a really good trade-off in most of these scenarios. I would say 3 out of the 4 trades we've already seen, he's actually having the level advantage as well, just due to the wave state. Very smart on his side to be able to trade. And you do see advantageous trades in the bot lane as well. You see Old No Name pathing bot lane, able to get that scuttle, and potentially looking for a dive. As we do see Shiv already pick up the first blood in mid lane, and that is the advantage there, having the ignite into the teleport.
And the flash on
Wow.
the Lucian does get the kill.
Just so much action. We talked about it early, really. Both comps just having so many tools to be aggressive, play early, play late. Such a powder keg of a game, and we already see that. Not even 4 minutes in, and we're already trading summoners, trading kills. Very interesting. I think it's a little more advantageous to get that onto the LeBlanc, as we said, regardless of having the Nami Seraphine. That LeBlanc's always going to be a threat to 100-0 the Lucian. But again, this is going to be disaster for the bot lane, which is already going to be at a disadvantaged matchup. But getting that kill over going to make it even worse. So you'll see an early pickaxe coming in to boots.
Important to note there, though, that for that first blood on the LeBlanc, he did not have to burn his flash, while the Seraphine had to burn both ignite and flash. That could set something up very easily for the Maokai. You know, a flash W. LeBlanc can even look for, you know, a flash follow. This game may be over for the Seraphine here, 4.5 minutes in.
Yeah, and from the side of TVA, you touched about the Maokai ganks here, and we're going to see one coming on the top lane, but I just think it's a little too late. The Maokai spent a lot of time trying to farm, trying to match this Sejuani, but we saw early how low all lanes across the board are, and the Maokai just was not able to get in. Just some unfortunate timing on the gank windows. I think this is something you see a lot from the side of TVA, where we're looking to get ganks off when everybody is full health. And when you're this early in the game, that's just such a hard thing to do. Yes, you can definitely look to burn sums. And again, looking at top lane, it looks like Andy Gwen did already burn both of his summoners. Must have been off screen as well as a camped. So it makes sense to look, but in general, being able to burst any champion from 100 to 0 is just going to be such a difficult task. And I think it makes sense for both junglers here. Spend a little bit more time farming. As we do see on cue, the Sejuani is looking. We do have a very smart ward set down, most likely from the Maokai, to snuff that one out. And it looks like a camp's ready to take this aggressive trade despite not knowing where the Sejuani went.
It's a good positioning here by the Maokai. The wave was in a really rough spot for the side of TVA, and Voodoo is there to hover, help him shove in if he needs to. But this is just really kind of going rough for the Jinx Yuumi here as they're going for another aggressive trade.
And Yumi's able to get hit by the bubble, not going to be able to jump onto the Jinx. Maokai's able to get in there. Are they going to look to continue this, or are they going to call it off? We do have Yuumi coming in for the heal, attached onto Guron. Guron is almost able to get 100 to 0. Lucian, just not enough damage. Are they able to get out in time, or are they going to get ran down? Luckily, the Sejuani is on the top side, sitting on a ward. A camp's not going to be able to dove. We see the Nami stepping up all alone. No dive coming through top lane. Nami's not able to continue pushing. It looks like the bot lane is able to get out safely. No dive onto a camp. Overall, I think you do see the snowball coming really hard into the bot lane. We do see JR and Tiara Shiv getting that trade into mid lane. And a camp's just going to mess with the Sejuani here. Try to steal some of the CS. Now, if you take note there, you do see this Renekton really trying to use that Q to steal away the medium-sized Krugs, if you will. I think it makes a lot more sense, and this is something not a lot of top laners I've seen really pick up on. If you save your abilities to secure the CS when the smaller Krugs come in, you get more gold and more experience with the smaller Krugs. Just, again, something that not a lot of people are picking up on, and I see over and over. Not a big difference maker, but we're just going to keep those game knowledge little tidbits intact. Similar to last week, we do see a lot of action across all 3 lanes almost every single 30 seconds as we see another kill is going to come onto this Seraphine. Not going to be able to get out here. The question is, are they able to give it over to Shiv, or is Voodoo Mama Juju going to have to take it? As we do see the LeBlanc able to finish off the kill, again using that Ignite to continue getting that pressure. Like, if I'm the Lucian, I love how my lane's going, but seeing these kills being traded in mid lane already has me scared. As you do see the Lucian trying to dash forward and continue pushing that lead that they were able to build.
Yeah, I mean, the Seraphine got the flashback up. In the moment, I couldn't see if that was coming up during that fight or if it had already been up. Good play there, though, by the Maokai, like we called out, going for the play on the Seraphine, getting that LeBlanc ahead. Looks like.
Just a lot of action going on there. I didn't even want to jump over that, but in general, I definitely see the call, what TVA was going for there. Have the Maokai show at least help to get it under, with the camp only having about 400 health. Yone very smartly looks to trade exhaust and ult, trying to finish that off. Trades ult for ult. Renekton does have the Fury. They're going to look for a return gank. They do have flash available on the side of Andy Gwen. Renekton's able to flash W, flash away. They are able to finish it off. Kill goes over to the Maokai as they are able to sit down Andy Gwen on the Yone. Very big play trying to alleviate that pressure. We talked about it early. You definitely think the advantage is inside of the Renekton. With the way bot lane's going right now, having that ability to get the kill, be able to turn the tides up there. Huge play as we do see a big trade coming down bot lane. They do have to burn exhaust. Oh my goodness, so close on these trades. Despite being down so much gold, the Jinx and the Yuumi are able to be so advantageous in these trades. We see Flash coming from the Lucian, and Shiv's able to pick up the kill once again. Flash comes out from the Nami, just like we talked about. This LeBlanc is such an issue here from the side of TVA, able to shove it down their throats. Shiv is going to continuously look for this with the Yuumi on top, and Giron's able to get some CS, get some gold from the plates, and get back into the game. Both sides really being aggressive from the side of TVA, finding these opportunities and knowing exactly what they can do. Great job from the side of Shiv being able to get out of lane and help his side lanes that he knows are so pivotal in this matchup.
Ton of trading there in the top lane. I'm not sure how I feel about this call here on the Maokai, as it looks like a camp is just going to die solo.
Ooh, man. Even with the Ninja Tabbies, we are going to see a steal come over for the side of Sensei Randal's. No zoning onto the Sedge, and it looks like Sensei Randal's is just going to clean up. Absolutely turning the tides. We see a solo kill in the top lane, 2 kills down near Dragon, and the Dragon go over. Huge 60 seconds there for the side of Sensei Randal's, as they already blow the game open to a 2k gold lead. At the 10-minute mark. This is absurd. If we look across the lanes, we see a 500 gold advantage in top lane, nearly 800 in the jungle. We do know that the LeBlanc is snowballing, but they are able to keep it due to CS in a minuscule lead, only at about 400. In the bot lane with the Lucian, just look at that, man. 1,500 gold up in 10 minutes. This lead is absurd.
Yeah, I think that was just way too aggressive by the Maokai there, trying to solo the Dragon. I don't even know if he would have had enough gold. He may have had the Bramble, but you're just a Maokai. You cannot take that objective that quickly, and took him forever. Ayumi's not providing much damage. Just poor decision there. Now again, he's just gonna have to flash out as the Sejuani just has the read of where this Maokai is gonna be. I think it was.
Sorry to cut you off, but this is just what you don't want to see. Is the side of TVA is playing to the stereotype of trying to help out the losing lane, and the jungler's getting punished for it over and over. You do see Shiv able to pick off that Seraphine once again, looking to extend the lead. Is Yuumi going to be able to keep Voodoo Mama Juju alive? We do see Giron able to fire away. Rocket comes in. One more auto is going to kill. Oh my goodness, the Sejuani's able to get out, but they do take the Nami instead, trading off the jungler for the support. We do see a camp trading under tower. Shiv's going to look to extend the lead. We do see ultimates coming out from both. Oh my. This is just trade after trade after trade. There's so much to talk about, and there's never a break. We see Shiv's going to look to be aggressive here. I'm very curious if the Lucian wants this. He's walking and positioning towards it. You're insane if you're trying to kill a LeBlanc as Lucian here this early into the game, and LeBlanc's so fed.
And LeBlanc able to get that shutdown, and it looks like it's gonna pay back as Seraphine is able to get the kill back. But just LeBlanc is the one member of this team that you cannot mess with right now. I mean, the CS difference is there in the bot lane. Jungle is getting, I mean, item-wise, it doesn't look as bad as it should be, but with the Rift Herald popping there in the mid lane, or in the bot lane, excuse me. Actually, I'm not I'm not entirely sure how close that was to timing out. I feel like if I'm popping that, I'd want to be getting the gold onto the Lucian, and given that's only at 13 minutes, I think they would have had time to let Lucian come down here, get that first turret gold.
Yeah, I think in general, one thing to note about that trade when we did see the LeBlanc go for the Lucian, this is just giving Giron an opportunity to get back into the game. Again, absorbing some of the free CS that you're able to take. Now, we do see that the Lucian, I do not believe, was actually in proximity for that walk towards River. We do see the Yuumi able to burn alt. They're going to be able to get away safely. But again, we do see Shiv roaming down. And this is just something that they're going to be able to do on repeat. If I'm the side of Sensei Randall's, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to take that tower. That way, if the wave's up here, again, you're just going to allow the Jinx to potentially freeze, get back into the game, and then this LeBlanc's just going to be able to shove, roam, and look to kill the bot lane on a repeat. I think that Rift Herald would have been much smarter off, specifically if you roam your top lane, or your bot lane towards top, and look to 4v1, get that tower. I don't know if that was the best macro decision, and we're going to see if TVA, specifically Shiv, is able to make them punish. As we do see the bot lane rotating mid. Shiv's able to get the Seraphine and the Nami R come out. We do see Maokai trying to collapse onto the Yone top lane. I don't think much is going to come out from mid lane. Camp's able to get the stun off. Andy Gwen trading with the ultimate despite the flash. Almost a kill from the side of Andy Gwen, even with the Maokai queuing the Yone onto the Renekton under tower, but just able to get out by the skin of their teeth. Big shutdown in terms of just the pressure that the Yone was building up there. You see it over and over again, the Maokai coming just in time. Flash forward from the Lucian onto the LeBlanc to no avail. Again, we do not have ultimates from the Nami or Seraphine as they burn that while the mid lane tower was still up. I think that's a super aggressive flash from the Lucian, especially knowing that the Yuumi was there. This Lucian needs to be scared for his life, and he's playing so recklessly. You do see that snowball that they had early in bot lane starting to disintegrate. We do have the Jinx catching up in CS. Now, again, they do not have the 3 kills, so they are down about 1,700 gold still. But this is just giving the side of TVA a window of opportunity to get back into the game. We talked about the Renekton being the bridge from the early to mid game. Shiv's able to say, screw that, I'm taking control here. Just like you talked about, in Shiv, they trust.
Yeah, this looks like this should be a pretty free dragon for Sensei Randall's. Really no answer here from the side of TVA, but they are looking to posture up, either looking at the Rift or they're looking to make a play up here on the Yone, who is in no man's land.
And a flash comes out from there, no exhaust yet. Maokai's able to take the blast cone away as we do have a 5v1. Huge kill going over to Shiv. Once again, just continuing to feed this LeBlanc. I think that one specifically you would have liked to see getting onto the Jinx, but totally understand continuing to snowball on LeBlanc. Be the fear factor. We do see.
I want to give a shout out to Voodoo there real quick on the knocking the blast cone. Although that sends him back over the Rift Herald wall, that meant there was no escape for the Yone there. Getting 2 more stacks of the Dark Seal. Looks like Shiv's going to be trying to take a trip to the library at some point this game.
I think that's definitely a smart build. Outside of the Sejuani, I just don't see any quote-unquote reliable CC to lock down this LeBlanc. You do have the ultimates from Yone, Seraphine, and Nami, but I would assume that Shiv having the prowess on this champion to be able to dodge that. As we do see another skirmish coming out in the top lane, Maokai's having to flash away. Renekton's in there 1v2 as you do see their entire team coming up. He's not able to get the kill. It goes down to the Lucian. Maokai is just dead to rights here. He is able to get the Q away, but it looks like Sedge is just going to be able to finish him off. Way too aggressive from the side of the TVA bot and jungle. Again, you just saw the rotation coming from the side of Sensei Randall's. There was no answer from the side of TVA. You have to know where you have pressure on the map and where you're able to force that advantage. Definitely a greedy tower dive, specifically into a Yone. That is not something I'd want to be diving.
Yeah, for the Renekton there, he kind of saw that he was dead, so I think he was just trying to make something out of the play. But that was definitely just an avoidable 2 deaths there, as that was not an avoidable death for the Nami.
Yeah, as we do see here, every single time we look away, it looks like these teams are trading advantages across the map. You see the kill coming out onto the Nami, but they look to return it onto the Jinx. Back and forth this game goes. Big kill from the side of Sensei Randal's, not just willing to sit down and let this LeBlanc run the game. They are going to take this opportunity to continue pushing their lead. They do have it up to a 4K gold lead. Here we are at 18 minutes in.
Nearly a good play there by Guron. I believe he flashed the Seraphine ult and then cleansed the Seraphine, or the Sejuani, as they're able to pick up the kill on the Yone here before the Renekton does drop immediately thereafter.
As you do look at Shiv coming around from the flank into the river, they are going to look to blow up this Seraphine. They miss ability. Shivs goes back into the Lucian. Has to flash away. The Guron ult just misses. It looks like Voodoo Mama Juju is going to be sacrificed here. Chancelotolus is able to get back onto the LeBlanc. They were not able to finish off the Seraphine. The LeBlanc just jumped away way too early. Not able to continue autoing to get the damage onto the Seraphine. Went right into the Lucian and then had to flash away. In the extended trade, they are able to pick that one up. No harm, no foul, I suppose. As they are able to complete the 2-for-2 trade, they are going to have about 20 seconds where they have this 4v5 advantage. And we look at the Dragon timer, they still have about, it looks like 30 seconds on the drag. Are they able to use that advantage? A Shiv! Boom! Goes to Lucian. This is 9-1 with 10 stacks on the Dark Seal already. This is absurd from the side of TVA. Shiv putting the team on his back.
Just an unfortunate waste of a flash there on the Lucian. He just was kind of greedily walking to his tower. You know, ADC should know better. I think Shiv has to go Mage Eyes here with the way this game's going. He's got to make stuff happen, as there is going to be a play here on the top side.
Very smart block there from the Maokai into the Yone R, and they are just going to finish off the kill. Super aggressive from the side of Andy Gwen. You saw the Maokai walking in with that control ward in the top try, and it just really just greed, to be honest with you, thinking that they can outplay it with the R, and they did burn the Seraphine TP to try to cover that as well. Great play from the side of TVA despite being spotted, capitalizing on that greed. And they are going to look to flash from the Renekton onto the Seraphine. Shiv's there. That means a dead Seraphine, almost on cue. They are able to drop the Rift. That's going to be a tower down in top lane. Now the question is, are they going to be able to get down and contest this Dragon?
Yeah, just a smart play there on the flash on the Seraphine. She had no flash. She had no way out. I do think they did burn a lot top, primarily that Maokai ultimate, and as they look for more of a straight up fight, that is a huge cooldown that TVA doesn't have. So I don't know if they necessarily are in the best spot to contest this Dragon, but they might not need to. They just need to, waste Sensei Randall's time, let that Rift Tail crash into the tier 2 top, and if they can get that gold on the Renekton, that could be a big equalizer in that matchup.
Yeah, I think in general, you do see the Renekton getting a second tower in the top lane, so TVA is totally fine just to stall this, and that's going to give enough time for the Maokai to be back up in time, I think, by the time this Dragon starts to be taken.
And he has TP and the Seraphine does not, so they do have a window here.
Now the question is, can they get a ward behind? They're pinging out around the mid lane, for some wards down for the Renekton to TP onto. As Shiv's able to get on the backline for a potential flank, the Renekton's again just trying to trade up here with the Seraphine. I'm very curious to see when TVA is going to be able to pull this trigger with the LeBlanc, looking so juicy in terms of the Nami.
It looks like Sensei Randall has a bit of a disengage there, as maybe they kind of had a sense of where the LeBlanc was, but now they're walking back up as the Maokai R was blown.
Yeah, I think that's really weird communication there. I don't see a reason why you're Maokai ulting when the Dragon's at nearly 90% health. But in general, we do see them go in from Voodoo Mama Juju. Shiv was not there in time, able to get back and is able to fill off as the ADC goes down from the side of TVA. Bot lane's down. We do have the support down from the side of Sensei Randall's. The camp's finally into the fight. They are able to kill off the Lucian. Shiv still alive, is able to get procced up by the Yone. The camp in there as the Renekton get the flash away from the Yone Oh my gosh, the CC coming in. You get the slow from the Yone knockup. You get the slow from the Sejuani smite. Is able to go down there as the Seraphine is able to rotate over and keep them alive. Just some really disjointed fighting from the side of TVA. You have ultimates being blown with nobody in position. You have TPs that are not able to get onto the backline. And then from the side of Sensei Randal's, knowing exactly who they want to go on, blowing up that bot lane right at the start of the fight. So that way the Jinx isn't able to snowball, get those resets off, and carry the fight from there.
Yeah, in that fight there, the Renekton was really not in the fight for a solid 4 or 5 seconds after the Maokai went in there on the bot side of the river. I mean, he TP'd in near that mid lane. He had walked behind with Shiv on the LeBlanc, and that's just a huge combination of damage sources as well as the W stun on the Renekton that just wasn't there for that fight. I just think that it looked like the Maokai pulled the trigger too soon, or Renekton wasn't communicating where he was coming in from, but either way, good pickup there by Sensei Randalls to get that dragon, put themselves on soul point. It is a cloud soul, so it's not necessarily the most impactful, but still getting yourself in that spot with what looks to be about a 3k gold lead, definitely not the worst position for Sensei Randalls to be in with the Lucian Nami comp.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and we don't necessarily know if it was the Maokai making the call for that, as we do know, as if on cue, we try to be a little bit retroactive, and then Shiv just jumping on and blowing up the Nami. Again, this bot lane is just not having a fun day playing into this 12-1 LeBlanc. But in general, we do know that Chancelauticus has been taking over some of the shot calling role. The Yuumi was on. Very great disengage from their side, but they do not have the CC to be able to peel off that Seraphine R, as it looks like the Maokai is just going to be sacrificed there. Not a lot of outplay available from the side of TVA in that 3v3 matchup. You just have so much damage coming and CC coming out from the whole lot, and then you have the LeBlanc and Renekton trying to split push. Even in a 3v3, even though that one was a 4v3, you're just not able to disengage that.
No, thankfully as I want to wait and see if that played into anything, the side of Sensei Randalls did kind of not layer their CC the best there, as the Sejuani R and the Seraphine R came in at about the same time. So Jinx was able to get out of there with the flash. Could have been a lot worse for TVA, but definitely very much back and forth. Just frantic pace here in this game. What's that, 34 kills at 25 minutes? It feels like it's been way more. About to be 35. Decides to change his mind. Decides to let the Nami live today.
Luckily, the Nami's able to get back to the Seraphine to get the heals and the shields. As you do see, the Seraphine did go Leandri's. They did need some AP presence. Chancelauticus does go down with the flash forward from the Lucian. Just way too far up as you're alone on the Yuumi. I definitely think the LeBlanc could have W'd forward to try to get that proc on and get the Yuumi untargetable, but just some lack of communication there. As we do see, the Nami might get popped here. Down to 50 health. Now can Shiv get out, as they are able to battle song towards the LeBlanc. Just able to get a little bit of a trade there from the Lucian. A lot of back and forth. We talked about it. One team makes one play, the other answers. This is so far, it's quite the slobber knocker, I'd say.
Worst of all there for the Yuumi, did lose all of the stacks that they had on the Dark Seal.
Oh,
I don't think Yuumi's going to be taking a trip to the library this game. Might have to return the book a little sooner than planned for Yuumi.
Oh, I haven't even noticed. Give it about one more second, and there it is. Wow! We do have 100 CS lead going up onto the Sejuani. Now, I know you are a Maokai, you're a tank, but we're going to take a look at the gold lead. Over 2,000 differential going into that jungle. That is huge onto the tank for both sides here. As we do see the side of Sensei Randalls able to start up Baron. Shiv's just jumping in to check it. Does see it's at about half health. The Renekton's down there. Does have TP. Doesn't even look like he's going to contest it. The Maokai ult comes out. I don't know what the call is, as they are just looking to go for a trade. The Sejuani is able to secure it. They aren't able to get the kill. And now the Renekton TP comes in? I do not understand what this communication is. You either contest and fight, or you don't. This is just really coming off the back of what we talked about, some of the issues for this TVA team coming out from the rest of the split, the lack of synergy with these calls.
Yeah, very, very questionable there. Didn't really seem like they knew what they wanted to do, whether they wanted to try to go for a steal, if they wanted to try to contest. they kind of just lose out in the worst way. Just they don't contest. They work. They burn the TP for a fight that doesn't happen.
Now, as they set up, it looks like we do have a flank onto the Yone. Yone's able to get out. Renekton's in a very bad spot right now. That means that side TVA does have to force this to try to get him out. We see the flash forward from the Maokai onto the Yone. Gonna get stunned, but they are able to jump onto Giron. Shiv jumps forward. Are they able to finish off the Yone? Does not look like it. Voodoo Mama Juju is gonna go down to the kill. Andy Gwen continue to press forward. Down goes Shiv. Down goes the rest of the side of TVA. Chancelotto is gonna go down to Andy Gwen. Chad moment there. Flash forward with the ult. Not able to connect, but Giron still goes down. Again, just such a desync as they're not able to get their bot lane into the fight despite everybody flashing forward to try to kill off Andy Gwen. So much blown to kill this Yone. The shield bow procs, they're not able to get the kill off. You look across the board, this is in a very bad spot for the side of TVA. You do see almost a total of 15 Dark Steel procs being lost in the span of about 5 minutes here. I don't know if anybody's going to a library at this rate. At this rate, they're only going back to the fountain.
Yeah, it's not been a very good last 2.5 minutes or so for TVA, as they are going to be losing their mid-tier 3, likely the mid inhibitor, and the play is going to be into the bot lane after that, you would have to imagine. As it looks like the Lucian close to dying.
I'm curious, are we going to see the Jinx ult coming to try to pick off that snipe? It does not look like it. If I'm Giron, I'm just throwing that shit out. You try to poke and hope at this rate. Try to get an advantage.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, this game's not looking great for TVA at this point. It was about a 3K gold lead, and it's now a 10K deficit for TVA. You're not necessarily looking forward to next game, but definitely some things to, you have to go back and maybe look at the tape. Typically, when you're playing a tank and you're down in CS, you can always say, "Oh, I was against the carry jungler." But the Sejuani has just been far more impactful in terms of the farming. Clearly having a great game. No discredit to the Sejuani, but clearly they were able to keep the pace up a little bit better. They got that early dragon stolen from the Maokai. They got the rift pretty much uncontested early in the game. And yeah, just a very well played game by the Sejuani in particular. I think that they'd have to be my MVP of this game here so far.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think that Sejuani has been able to mess up a lot of what Shiv's trying to do in terms of pressing that lead. As we do see the Yone really trying to push this advantage onto their Renekton. Great dodge out here from the E. Giron almost able to step into the Andy Gwen R. They're almost able to finish off the Giron. He's able to flash away. Only one kill further side of Sensei Randal's as it does go over onto the Nami. But again, there's just no answer. Andy Gwen's able to press the gas pedal, and TVA's just sitting back watching it happen. As they do look to siege this bot tower here, where is the opportunity for TVA to come back into it? What are you looking for if you're on the side of TVA?
I mean, at this point, I think you have to try to get a fight where I think you have to try to get a play where the Sejuani's not there. I mean, that's gonna be really difficult. But if the Sejuani is able to CC up either the LeBlanc or the Jinx, I mean, there's really just no other tool for TVA to put out enough damage. You need to get those resets on the Jinx here, I feel like. And if that could be, with like a single auto by the Jinx that leads into a full LeBlanc combo and get those resets going, I think that that's kind of where they have to look. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's kind of desperation for TVA. They're going to need, even still, I think they're going to need some throws from Sensei Randals to get back into this one.
Oh, definitely, especially when you see the gold leads at 11K. You're down 4 dragons, including a soul. Really, it's going to come down to, is this LeBlanc able to get an early pick, and then are they able to play an early front to back? It looks like the Renekton's just able to walk in, get blown up trying to contest vision. I don't necessarily see why you're trying to contest vision a minute before the Baron, to be honest with you. This is just something where the side of TVA needs to be looking to turtle. When you're down this far in gold, you just let the side of Sensei Randals do what they want. Play very defensive in terms of getting your vision and look for picks that way. As we do see Shiv jump straight into the Sejuani. Sejuani R comes through, does miss Shiv. They are just able to siege the tower though.
This could maybe be a window without the Sejuani R where they could look to maybe do something, as they will have the Maokai R back sooner.
And there you talked about the Sejuani just has so much freaking impact. Shiv's jumping forward and just getting caught every single time as three members of the TVA get absolutely wiped. Maokai flashes away, still gets hit from the Seraphine E, and it does look like the Maokai is going to go down, and it looks like the side of Sensei Randal is going to take game one. Again, we talked about at the beginning of the game, powder keg on both sides looked great from the side of TVA getting the LeBlanc ahead, but when you have so much impact from the Sejuani, the LeBlanc's just not able to play the game late. Very quick game, 32 minutes looks like, and the side of Sensei Randal's ended that with a 16k gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, on TVA's side, it was pretty even there up until maybe just a little bit before that Baron was taken. So, pre 20 minutes, I think things were going fine for TVA. The Shiv, Shiv LeBlanc, clearly you can look there at the stat sheet, did do pretty well. The ganks from the Maokai were impactful at times, but again, I think that just the Sejuani was able to do a little bit more impactful ganks, and they were just way out ahead in farm. Were a better front line in those fights, and I think that's really one of the big things that led to that first loss there for TVA, unfortunately. But this is a best of 3 series. It looks like TVA is electing to take the blue side this time, so we're getting a little switch up this time.
Yeah, for me, I think if the side of Sensei Randal's is willing to give over the power pick of Maokai, I don't necessarily see why you switch lane or switch sides. I think you stay on red side, continue to have that counter pick for Shiv. Again, we know who's the carry. You see a lot of bans coming out mid lane from the side of Sensei Randal's, trying to keep Shiv down. Not having this counter pick could really bite the side of TVA in the butt, as we saw Shiv being that lone bright spot for them. If you are switching sides, and again, last game you were able to get the Maokai in first rotation anyway on red, are you looking to just grab the Maokai first pick on blue side? Or what are you thinking if you're the side of TVA making this swap?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure of what we're looking at here on the swap. You look at mid lane had the counter pick last time, which allowed them to pick the LeBlanc into the Seraphine, which clearly was a good matchup. Unfortunately, now that they're on the blue side, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they look for. Are they looking for maybe like a power jungle, or if, I mean, it doesn't seem like Chance's style to pick a really strong support necessarily. So I'll be honest, I don't necessarily, just knowing TVA's inner workings, I'm not sure what they're looking to do here on the blue side. But maybe it's they just feel like they can execute their game plan a little bit better playing on that side.
Yeah, and it looks like we aren't taking too much time in between drafts as we're already jumping right into it. So far, the bans are going just as expected as they were last game. We have the Callista taking out from the side of Team Volatility, and we do have the Irelia and the Silas taken out for the side of Sensei Randal's, as Team Volatility does not want to play into that Lucian again, taking 280 carries, and it looks like the Hecarim off the table. So that means the Amumu has been left open from the side of Team Volatility. The question is, do they early pick that themselves here? That could be the switch up that they were looking for by switching over to the blue. I do think that makes sense if you are scared of the Amumu. But again, what's going to stop Sensei Randal's from just picking the Maokai on the other side? As we do see here, the Maokai just grabbed first pick. We kind of talked about it a little bit. If you were able to get the Maokai on the first rotation on red side, why do you bother switching over to blue to pick it again? We're going to see if something different comes out from the side of Team Volatility, though. They have to have something kind of brewing up if this is what they opted for.
Yeah, I think if I'm on TVA, I plan to play this Maokai top this time. We know that a camp can play it, as Sensei Randal's is going back to the Sejuani that was very effective game 1. I think pairing with a bit of a stronger jungler might be their best bet, as they're picking very tanky here with the Sejuani Ornn 1-2 on the red side.
Yeah, and if you're the side of Sensei Randals, you're more than fine taking that Sejuani to Maokai trade. Again, I'm very curious why the swap went over. I guess I won't beat a dead horse too much more, but it really comes down to what are the picks going to be from the side of Team Volatility. They definitely can look to pick this Lilia, as we do know it is a flex pick both top and jungle, so the flex does stay alive. But again, that is a lot of already AP heavy index going over for the side of Team Volatility. Curious to see what they're able to kind of round out this comp with.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see what for shenanigans they might be cooking up. I think Lilia could, run absolutely rampant into a Sejuani Ornn, just two very tanky champions. Run a Leandri's Anguish as they lock in the Kaisa on the blue 3. So you'd have to imagine that they're going to be pairing it with something pretty aggressive in the support lane, which the Maokai could also go support. We do have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm the side of Team Volatility, I'm really trying to think through this Kaisa pick. It's definitely going to be able to burn through the front line just with that percent health damage on the passive. But in general, I feel like playing a short range 80 carry into a Sejuani Ornn, I don't think would be the most fun. But the outplay potential is there, so I definitely see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel with that pick. As Sensei Randals does lock in the Victor, most likely going to be the top jung mid coming through here. I definitely do not think that the Ornn and Sejuani pair nearly as well as the Yone Sejuani did. I'm kind of interested to see why the Yone was banned away from Sensei Randals. I guess that would have been the one thing that Team Volatility could have looked to pick away. I don't necessarily think the Yone was that big of an issue. But we do see, again, the Sivir getting banned off the table from the side of Team Volatility this time, kind of switching that up. But the Sensei Randals are able to keep the 5 mid lane bans and a mid lane pick coming out here, really pinching the pool of Shiv. Curious to see what comes out in answer.
I mean, the LeBlanc is still up there. We have, outside of that, I think that is everything that, let's just take a look here at the stats, and that does appear like, unless they're running back the LeBlanc here, which would likely, I don't know how that fares necessarily into the Victor, but that we might be seeing a new pick this season for Shiv as time's running out for Sensei Randals, and they lock in the Amumu, which we do expect to be in the support lane.
Yeah, just keep in mind, like, when you're looking to get Shiva's pick here, you already have Kaisa that does a good portion of AP damage on hit. You have Lilia does AP damage, obviously Maokai tank but does AP damage. Same with Rakan. You have to get some type of AD damage here into the Sejuani Ornn and the Amumu. I just don't see the side of TVA getting any kills on this front line. I'm very, very curious to see what they pull out. I'd love to see something like a Tristana mid here, actually.
Akshan is gonna be the pick. There is the 80 that you're asking for, but that is gonna be something that I personally have not seen come out of Shiv's arsenal. But that does check the boxes. That does allow, similarly to what he did that last game, with the roams to the bot lane getting kills. We saw firsthand in our scrim yesterday how Akshan can roam and make plays on the other side of the map. As we get a R5 Draven, that is scary for TVA.
Ooh, man, I'm looking at this draft and I'm ready to FF go next if I'm the side of TVA. You have such a strong bot lane here in Draven and Mumu. Again, into that short range Kaisa, again with the Rakan. And then you're looking, I don't know if an Akshan is going to be able to stay alive while also doing damage into the Sejuani Ornn. It's going to take a really strong snowball from the side of TVA to get a lead and not allow this comp of Sensei Randals really to do what they want to do.
You do have to consider that this now is a triple tank for Sensei Randals, and with a Lilia, with an Akshan, with what you expect to be a Kraken Kaisa, there's a lot of tank shredding there, and I don't know. I mean, Team Volatility does have some tools here in the team fights. I would say that the draft certainly should favor Sensei Randals, but I think Lilia in particular is going to be our big X factor here in order for TVA to win this game. Again, they're looking to make the upset here on Sensei Randals. This is their call. This is their comp that they think can get them that upset.
Yeah, overall, if I'm the side of TVA, I'm just trying to think what I could really do to be super proactive. Because again, this is not one of these comps where you just want to sit back and let an Ornn or a Victor scale. And giving the Amumu Draven the opportunity to make plays, that just does not sound fun either. I'm curious to see, where do you think the Maokai and Lily are going in regard to top jungle?
Without being able to see them do the pick or the draft in client, I'm going to guess that they put the Lilia jungle, but I think that they should be sending it top personally.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think Lily in the top lane, as that's what they look to do here with the lock-in on the client. But it makes sense to have the Aulilia with the true damage and the dot go into the Ornn as opposed to the Maokai. Now again, I think the Maokai in the late game could really mess up this Ornn, being able to throw off the ultimates with so many disrupting abilities. At the same time, I think it's really weird in general that you have Andy Gwen pick something like a Chad Yone and then switch right on to the antithesis of that in the Ornn. A lot of versatility, if you will, coming out from Andy Gwen and the side of Sensei Randal's, but I definitely like that pivot to keep TVA on their toes.
Yeah, I think that the big issue I see here for TVA, we saw how lane went when it was a Lucian Nami that went into a Jinx Yumi that could sustain in lane. There's a lot less sustain with the Kai'Sa Rakan and a lot more kill pressure, I feel like, with the Draven and Amumu. And if that Draven able to get those stacks up and he's able to cash in pretty early, this could spell disaster for TVA.
I'm really curious to see specifically how the mid lane matchup goes here. Again, the Akshan coming out super late in the draft, as we know we needed AD damage. I'm curious how it goes into Victor. Victor, a lot of wave clear, able to really kind of dictate the state of most lanes, I'd say. So seeing Akshan and his roaming opportunities is going to be very pivotal for the side of TVA. Getting off and really trying to shut down this Draven, I think. At the same time, if you're trying to shut down the Draven, you're looking to funnel gold into your Kai'Sa, who I think if the Kai'Sa is in a good spot along with the Akshan, they definitely can handle this composition in terms of fighting front to back. You are going to have a lot of that percent health damage coming through. But again, a lot of it also comes down to the peel coming out from Voodoo Mama Juju as well as Chancelauticus.
Yep. Real quick, while we do have a couple minutes here, the stream did end on Discord, so just before the next game loads up, I'll need that back on.
I suppose I can do that for you.
But we don't need to. It's not it shouldn't be super gloom and doom for TVA. They were very competitive there again pre 20 minutes. And if you're looking at that, suggests to me that they are good enough to hang with a team like Sensei Randall's. If they were outclassed in this matchup, you would expect to see like a pretty consistent, huge goal difference in that early stage of the game. So have to give credit to TVA. I think they're good enough, and they're just changing up their approach this time, putting Chance on his signature Rakan, giving him some more playmaking tools instead of the Yumi, which didn't really allow for any playmaking whatsoever.
Yeah, and I know like Chancelotos in our private Discord did have a little bit of discrepancy in regard to the Yumi pick specifically, just because we mentioned it along with the kind of scuffed Maokai Yumi engage there around Dragon, but Chancelauticus has been taking a lot of the shot calling ability and not having the playmaking to go with that shot calling outside of the R essentially from the Yumi definitely is going to inhibit the maximum potential coming out there. I do like them switching it up there, going for a Rakan. If they are able to play around shutting down this Draven early, there's plenty of tools specifically if you're looking for a gank as the Maokai and Rakan. Draven's really not going to be able to get much done. So there's definitely a slight avenue available for TVA to kind of come out of this early game ahead, but that's something that needs to happen. So I'm curious to see if TVA is able to identify that and take it and run with it.
With about a minute left on the spectator delay, if you're the captain for TVA, if you're a camp tier, what are you discussing with the team, trying to, are we saying what needs to get corrected? Are we trying to just keep, you know, emotions pretty mild? What are you thinking here heading into this game?
For me, I think it's definitely very clear in terms of who the strong points are and the playmakers are if you're the side of TVA. I mean, we have the saying, in Giron we trust. That's where it all started, right? But if we saw in the Jinx, they were just never able to really come out of the pit that lane really set them into. So I think there has to be this clear focus around the bot lane, getting this Kaisa and Rakan to the point where they're enabled to make the plays. They're not sitting on the back foot and hoping to be bailed out. Instead, they're the ones looking to go forward. They're looking to make these picks. They're able to get vision control specifically into this bot side of the jungle. That way, they can play safe, but also you can look for potential roams from the Akshan that we talked about. If the Victor's not able to keep the Akshan in mid, this Draven's going to have a really tough time, similar to what we saw coming out of the LeBlanc into the Lucian last game. So if I'm the captain of TVA, what I'm saying, guys, last game is last game. We know we should not have taken the Yuumi early. I'll take fault for that, whether that is his fault or not. Just being the captain and kind of taking that responsibility to take the stress and the anxiousness off of your team is kind of something you have to do. And then once you take that off of their chest, redirect them forward with another purpose. Give them this green light of, okay, if we shut the Draven down and we win through mid bot, we win the game. That way they're able to focus on that and keep moving forward. We look into summoners as we're looking to load in. We do see the Ornn going TP Ignite, something that's very interesting, and I'd be actually a little nervous if I was the Lilia once you do hit 6. You see so many highlight plays of an Ornn hitting 6 and going for the brittle proc along with the grasp, and then having the Ignite damage on top of that is going to be very, very interesting. Looking elsewhere across the board, Cleanse definitely makes sense on both the Draven and Kaisa. You do see, once again, in the mid lane, Victor going TP and the Akshan going Ignite. Don't worry. I did remember the zoom out if it's going to work. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Get this. Get this. We are good to go. Now, we're curious to see. It looks like we might have a 5-man battle right here in the river. They're going to pass straight towards it. Oh, my gosh. Are you ready for this?
Oh, this is going to be a banger.
They see it
TVA
coming.
has
They're
the
gonna
advantage.
look at the Draven right in front as we do see Slothman going in. The Mumu has to flash out. No damage really going on to the side of TVA. Andy Gwen's already a half. The Mumu goes back in, has no flash, takes the Ignite. He is going to go down to the Ignite. There goes Akshan for the first blood. Look at that. We talked about the side of TVA needing to get ahead early. They saw what the side of Sensei Randal's did last game, looking for that aggressive 5-man invade, and they're able to counteract that. Great proactivity from the side of TVA. Real quick, I do have to just alt-tab out to fix the map. We are good to go now.
Very smart there. Smart read by, and of course, we don't have the comms, but great play to make the call to go in that bush. And I'm just going to have to say it. That was stupid by the Amumu. It was a good first thought to go in with the Q, try to root up somebody, try to get that first blood. Flashing out is fine. I mean, he doesn't have Hex Flash, that stinks, but then he goes back in for an effective death sentence. He doesn't ignite, and they don't get a kill. That was just a very unforced error there by Amumu, and that's going to get this mid lane ahead where we saw how lane went last time.
Yeah, definitely. I think really big. And just looking at what summoners were burned, we do see both Ignites from the side of TVA being down. And then Flash on the Lilia definitely was aggressive, trying to flash forward and get that damage. We're going to see if Old No Name is going to be able to punish that. But looking in the bot lane, it looks like in terms of items, no real advantage there despite the assist going across the board. But it does look like Draven did have to use his pot early. So definitely in terms of sustain, a little bit of an advantage there. As the bot lane does hit 2 very early. are they able to lock down Chancelotta? Because it does not look like it, but Draven's just going to be hitting ahead. That's just something where if you're the side of TVA, you have to know when this bot lane's hitting level 2 and get the hell out of there because you are never getting an advantageous trade there. Luckily, they were able to save both of their flashes, though. If there's a bright spot, that's definitely it, as we do see Andy Gwen trading very aggressively into this Lilia. Keep in mind, Ignite is still up for the Ornn. He's going to look to take advantage of that as they look to chip away here in the top lane.
Yeah, it was well played though by Chance to step in front of the first Amumu Q. I think Kai'Sa would have died if she got double Q stunned, as it looks like Andy Gwen going in.
And Andy Gwen going out. Despite having the Ignite and no flash on the Lilia, Lilia's able to get the first kill there. They are going to look to go aggressive onto the Draven. Chancelotta misses the W. Maokai's able to flash in, gets onto the Draven, cannot Q him back under tower. Giron is untouched. Lethal Tempo coming in clutch. Voodoo Mama Juju does get ignited, but is able to get the passive heal off. As the Amumu was able to run away, does not have flash. They hand it over to Giron, double kill. Just like we talked about, if you're the side TVA, you know your win condition is through this bot lane. They played it very well despite missing some abilities, but the Draven burned everything and you still were able to get that double kill onto the Kai'Sa. Great play from the side of TVA. As you did see also, the Akshan was looking to roam bot side as well. So if the jungler was there, they had the backup. Just very well played from a micro and a macro sense, as we do see an early almost 2k gold lead come out from the side of TVA.
You have to. That's an insane gold lead here, not even 4 minutes into the game. Kai'Sa gonna have a huge item spike on the Draven, and Draven's just one of those champs where if you fall behind early, it's a really difficult. It's just a champ that needs to snowball, needs that big advantage. A little bit interesting call here, the invading by the Sejuani on the blue side, as we do get a pause here. It looks like Shiv's having some lagging issues that allow me to call out that they may be looking for a all it's going to take from the Sejuani is a Q over that wall, trying to knock up this Lilia that does not have flash. Could be maybe a potential return kill onto the Ornn, try to get him back into this lane. Again, I'm just gonna have to say it was a little bit troll in my opinion to not go flash on the Ornn. I think if you're going Unsealed Spellbook, maybe I can see going Ignite, maybe, but I think that was just into a losing matchup. I don't think you can afford to not go flash. Very greedy, if you ask me, and Akanth was just able to punish that super well.
Yeah, and I think in general, I guess it makes sense if you're going to have a scaling mid laner like Victor, but then when you look in the bot lane and you do see the Draven and Amumu, you would just think your jungler is going to be pathing to that side. You're going to be on weak side, so taking the Ignite really just doesn't make sense. It's similar to something when we saw a lot of Sedge in the top lane. Because she had that Q to get away as well as the W slows, almost all Sejuanis were taking Ignite along with TP because they were able to get a lot of jungle pressure just specifically in that meta. But those that did not get the jungle pressure and had Ignite really were getting abused for that. And you do see that here in the Ornn. The Ornn not as mobile, I would say, just because you do not have the stun off the fourth auto, if you will. Don't have that. We do see Shiv reconnect here. But in general, I just think in terms of philosophy, it doesn't make a lot of sense outside of wanting to style on your opponent.
Yeah, we'll see here. They're ready to start up as Shiv was able to reconnect. We haven't gotten the R back from Sensei Randal's. Will be interesting here to see how Guron can kind of push this advantage. We know Guron's got the talent to carry these games as the game does start back up here, and he is in a great position as he has a noon quiver compared to the refill pot and longsword of the Draven. As it does look like our video is paused. I don't know if that's on your end as well.
No, this is something that happened last week as well. I don't know why it just randomly pauses. Let me see if I can. I'll back it up 15 seconds and go from there. Yeah. So we do see in about 15 seconds, the Ornn is able to throw the Q out, takes the escape path away from the Lilia, having to run down towards it. It looks like Lilia walked up into it actually after seeing Sejuani. I do not see this Lilia getting back out. I think that was super greedy pathing. Step forward when you should have stepped back. Are they able to get out? Sejuani is able to get the stun. You do see the Ignite come down, but the movement speed coming in is not able to hit the Q. I don't know why we don't have directed cam. Sejuani is able to flash forward as they do get the kill here on the flashless Lilia. So again, just greedy positioning from the Lilia that you called out in the pause. We do see Chance blowing flash onto the Victor there. Great roam from the support here. And this is the type of playmaking that we talked about. Chance just was not able to have on the Yuumi. But now enabled onto the Rakan. They were able to get that early lead bot so he doesn't have to sit down there. Very great play out of the side of TVA support.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to, stay a bit of a "I told you so" with that Sejuani Q over the wall on the invade, as it looks like we're not going to have time to talk about that too much more, as there is going to be a play in the bot lane.
This is a game of TVA. Oh, look at the miscommunication there. The Maokai did hit the Q right as the Rakan went in with the W. Again, it's not going to hurt, but this is just something we're seeing over and over again every game. That definitely could have hurt in a different situation, but again, Draven's getting absolutely shit on, so they are able to take full advantage of that. Another 2 kills going over to the side of TVA as they are able to get that 2K gold lead back on their side.
The idea of layering the CC was good. The execution was a little less so there on the Draven. They do still pick up the double kill, with one of the kills going over to Guron. He's going to be a massive problem now, as he's already got a 300 gold shutdown. Hopefully we never see 3,000 gold shutdowns in this game. But Shiv looking to press the advantage a little bit right off the Victor teleport, as Sejuani is clearly spotted out. Maokai in the vicinity as well. They might not know that the Amumu is around, though.
I think it was very interesting for the side of TVA after those 2 kills not to burn the dragon. It does look like Guron was able to back and get a pickaxe with that gold, but I would think the value you're getting specifically from a Hextech dragon, getting that, I believe it's 6%. Attack speed and ability haste would just be very big for this team. I would have preferred to look to get that objective, was not the call, as we do see Andy Gwen being very aggressive in this trade. We talked about it, the Ornn being aggressive right at 6, not able to land anything. Camp's looking for the extended trade, goes back in, opts for this. We do have Voodoo Mama Juju coming in, we do have the Akshanar, and down goes Andy Gwen. Very smart play because he had the support coming out from a camp, knew the limitations, knew he had the support, and they're able to shut down the Ornn. We talked about a pregame looking to get aggressive at level 6. You see all these highlights hitting the Ornn ult and the Brittle combinations. They're able to shut down and capitalize on that aggressiveness. Now we do have a backpack on the Draven hitting level 6 early, definitely an XP lead, which is not something you were expecting. They're looking to capitalize that as they go on a chance. Sejuani's there, throws out the ult, pulls an X special and throws the ult away. Unbelievable. That could have been so good for the Draven to get back into the game, and they throw it absolutely away. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, I'll say.
Yeah, taking it back to that top side there, very smart by Camp. He had a flash. He knew that if he needed to get out in the pinch, he could get out. You know who couldn't get out with their Ignite? The Ornn. Maybe if he had a flash, he could have gotten behind that tower and saved himself from the action. What do you call it? Hindsight's 2020. But ultimately, so far this pick is not working out so well on the top side. CS is going fine. Where he's not getting blown out in that capacity, but I think this lane's just going to get far worse once a Camp's able to pick up the Leandri's Anguish that I believe he's going to have to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. As we do see that Maokai is able to jump onto Annie Gwen. Once again, Maokai is able to ult through as Ornn W's the wrong way, goes back into the team. Camp's just going to be able to pick this one up. Again, no flash available, but the Ignite is. Draven throws the ult up, misses everything. Again, very late roam from the Victor. We talked about this pregame. The roams coming out from mid was going to be a big deal, as we thought both the mid laners, you would think Akshan and Victor have the potential to kind of clear waves and get onto the map. It really just depended who was able to do that first and impact the side waves. We've seen it at least twice coming out from Shiv, moving on the Akshan and actually capitalizing on it, but you do see from the Victor, first time he tries that, not able to be there in time, so Andy Gwen goes down, and finally it looks like the side TVA is going to try to get an objective off a pick. This is something they should have done after they got the kills bot lane into the Dragon, but they're going to capitalize, learn from that mistake, and they're going to look to get this Rift Herald.
They do have to be careful, though, because Sensei Randal did bring up their bot lane, whereas they did not.
Very
Kind of
smart.
coin flippy.
It's okay from the side of TVA as they were able to get behind and get the eye. But again, you talked about the bot lane roaming up. This is something where if you're the side of TVA, you have to realize it makes sense to leave the Kai'Sa bot lane. Kai'Sa's able to play safe, also be aggressive if it's a 1v1, and if nobody's there, you just get all the plate gold. Chanceloticus should have been roaming there, looking to support the team in terms of securing the objective. Ultimately, they are able to get that, but definitely at a cost.
Yeah, it may not be the biggest cost. They did only lose one. They definitely could have lost a lot more as the camp does. We see now after getting that kill, he is able to start bullying, but Ornn's holding his own.
You see the ult come through. A big trade for the side of a camp. Does not have Leandre's yet, or that definitely would have been a kill. He does not have eyes on the Sejuani. This is something where it's definitely a greedy positioning that the Sejuani is not able to punish. You saw the ult, all of this aggressive trading coming out with Sejuani being right there and Maokai on across the map. Definitely something you want to take note of later if a camp tries to get aggressive once again. We'll see if the Sejuani is able to punish that. Looking across the board, you do see the Rakan getting out of lane a little bit more now, looking to play around mid. We saw this earlier in the game, burning that Victor flash early. They are able to get vision there, though. No
Dragon
flash.
coming up here in a minute.
W fail.
That's alright. He's got the E. He can get out.
We do see the Maokai ult come through here. They're just going to look to run right down onto the Amumu. Amumu ult comes through. We do see Ignites go on. We see Chanceloticus getting the double knockup, double R. The Draven flashes forward, not able to get the kill as Sejuani is able to steal it, but they do kill the Draven in return. So a 2-for-1 here, a lot burned on the bot side. And now here comes the camp, able to push this advantage knowing everybody else's bot lane. You're going to see Andy Gwen get absolutely smacked here. A camp does not want to push the lead at this point in time, not having ultimate, totally understand that. Kieran's able to pick up the wave and is going to pick up 3 plates here along with Shiv as they look to split the gold. If you're the side of TVA,
looked a
what
little...
are you looking to capitalize on here coming up?
Man, well, they did burn a lot there, so I don't know if they're going to be looking to go for this dragon right away, as it looks like they're going in hard on Guron. Good dodge there, good dodge. That fight was definitely all over the place. I don't know about that. I worked out in the end with the Maokai ultimate, kind of going down there on the Mumu and the Draven. But man, that again, we're now seeing, even though Team TVA was able to win the fight, looks like it's going to be Sensei Randals who are able to pick up this second dragon.
Yeah, we're about 12 minutes in here looking at the gold lead. It does look like the side of TVA is up about 4.5k. It does look like Sensei Randals does have a lot of positioning around this dragon. Voodoo Mama Juju is here though. Does he look for a steal? Dragon looks to reset. They are not going to be able to steal as it looks like Shiv's just looking to stay mid and get plates here. Now, it does look like Sensei Randal is able to take a 2-for-0 dragon lead, which doesn't make sense. You look at the bot lane, we do have Kai'Sa 4-0, and Sensei Randal's combined 0-7. You would not expect the side of Sensei Randal to be able to get both dragons, but they are, as it looks like the side of TVA is valuing the gold they're going to get from getting towers and plates onto Shiv and Guron. As it looks like Sensei Randal's is going to try to siege mid here. Can TVA rotate in time? It looks like a potential 5-man collapse here. The Rakan ult goes in, is able to get charmed up by both the Amumu and the Sejuani. Able to get out, goes back in, is going to die greedily to the Amumu, but they are able to pick off the Sejuani. They're going to pick off the Amumu. Shiv's able to bring back Chanceloticus. It looks like someone you don't know, wow, what a mouthful, is able to get out with about 100 health. Big play there you see coming out from the side of TVA. A little bit aggressive from the Rakan going back in. We do see the dive into the mid lane. A camp flashes forward, hits the Q, hits the ult, does not get anything, able to get out. Guron is hit by the Ignite. Ornn, can Guron live on the backside? Big shield coming out from Chanceloticus. Very, very big.
Ooh, if I'm Shiv, I think I walk up, try to get that plate here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Just one little tap.
Oh, the Lilia ball not able to get over the wall. Honestly, would have potentially looked for a kill onto the Victor there if he was able to land it. I don't understand the timings of this aggression. I think at any moment's notice, the side of TVA is able to take these kills and come out on top, but they're not looking to fight around the objectives. I'm curious to see, especially on the next Rift Herald or Dragon, are they able to really say, this is where we are fighting and win the fight, instead of rather just looking for tower plates.
Yeah, I think going down 2 Drakes here honestly isn't too bad for TVA. I mean, the gold lead is now up near 6,000 almost, and if you have a 6K gold lead at 15 minutes, they're really kind of dictating the pace out of these next couple dragons, and you'd have to imagine that they could either look to stack them back in their favor, or they could just look to keep their advantage. Take a first dragon, deny that soul win con, and just kind of look to chokehold Sensei Randal's out of this game. But yeah, definitely a little aggressive there on the flash ultimate by the Lilia. I think that they had won the fight pretty handedly. They were able to pick off two. I'm really not sure how Victor was able to get out as Maokai queued him into the tower and he had literally no HP. But
As we do see to look for a heavy trade in here mid, we do see Shiv has Mythic item, able to use the Kraken Slayer to burn through this bot lane. McCamp's definitely playing with fire, not having flash, but he is able to get out successfully. One thing I want to take note of as we're getting into this mid game here, definitely in comparison to last game, TVA is doing a much better job of getting aggressive wards. Now, I know they are in a much better game state, but they're taking advantage of that as we do see a lot of great wards on the top side and in the bot river, so they are able to see a lot of these plays coming. Now, we do have Rift Herald spawn. We talked about it. Is the side of TVA going to look to finally fight around an objective rather than seeing both go over in terms of dragons for free? And they were able to get the first Rift in return, which was nice. But we have not seen the fight despite being up almost 6K. We do see them looking to fight it here. They do see everybody roaming up with the Maokai sapling, so they do know this could potentially be a fight. Andy Gwen does not have TP. Ornn's not going to be there. Sedge dashes forward. Who was able to get that? I can't even tell.
it looks it's hard. It looks like the Maokai has it. Yes.
This is the second Rift Herald now where they're just not able to really, or second objective where they're not able to zone the Sejuani. You have to keep in mind when you're looking for flash forward, not even time to talk. Chancelauticus hits the R, hits the flash, hits the W, hits the ignite, hits everything, and gets the kill onto the Victor. Unfortunately, you don't see that going over to the Akshan, but you see two dead on the side of Sensei Randal's. Rift Herald going down, waves going down as they look to siege this tier 2 mid tower. Honestly, with Ornn still sitting in bot lane as well, they might be able to. They're definitely going to be able to get this proc onto the mid tier 1. But in general, or tier 3, I don't see them being able to pressure this, as instead they're just going to take that pressure, look to roam down towards Dragon. Again, finally using that advantage to kind of set up around these objectives and secure them. You'll love to see that in terms of snowballing your lead and looking to close out a game.
You have to consider that it is only 17 minutes into the game, so if I'm TVA, I am not looking to proc an inhib this early into the game. Smart play by them though. I really want to give shout out to Chance there for slingshotting off the action into the flash W. Just great mechanics there on the recon. Of course, it would have been nice if action got the kill, but he's already sitting pretty there, 5-0 and 3. So give a little bit of gold to the support. I think I'm okay with that as a resident support player.
I definitely understand that, as we do see the side of TVA here is not starting up the objective right away. Instead, they're going to look for a pick here. They are able to get the ultimate out of Victor, but Sejuani is able to answer with an R, does not land it onto Shiv. Amumu was over the wall looking for a Q, not able to get anything. Spotted out by the Lilia. Akshan R comes in, Maokai R comes in, gets the cleanse out of Draven. Looks like Giron's able to pick up that kill on the Draven, and now it looks like the side of Sensei Randal is going to have to run away. They do not have, I'd say, 80% of their damage looking into this Draven pick. The side of TVA doing a great job focusing the Draven in all of these fights from the beginning of the game through now. They know exactly what their win condition is. Kill Draven, win the game, as they are able to secure their first dragon, and that's going to be the first mountain drag on the Rift.
Backpack is just not looking very good here on the Draven. Really, this just bot lane in general has really kind of been a liability this game, as they're now already objective bounties. They're down 8,000+ gold. That's nearly a 9,000 gold lead pre 20 minutes. This game should be fully in Team Volatility's hands. We do see an unfortunate trend appearing in the jungle again, as despite the massive lead, Sejuani is out farming, but due to just the ridiculous amount of assists that the Maokai has, much more impactful this game. He is sticking relatively in there with gold. And again, we're seeing what we saw, I believe it was last week when we casted, the Maokai going for the Demonic Embrace here second. It does not appear like he heeded our words from our cast last week.
Yeah, I think in this one specifically, like, you're almost It looks like you're 8K up in gold as a team. I would feel pretty confident in that regard. But in general, you are the lone tank on this squad. You already brought it up. You're behind in your matchup. I would be investing heavily just into defensive capabilities. You want to have those resistances. I would think something like a Frozen Heart would have been huge for the Maokai here second. You get onto the Draven. He's useless as is. You're getting that attack speed slow. Even more valuable in my opinion rather than the damage coming out. You already have the Akshan who has an LDR. You have a Fed Kaisa who has Kraken and Phantom Dancer. Having that extended damage just really doesn't make sense. But again, when you're this far up in terms of a team advantage, you can kind of just do what you want, play smart, and you'll be able to win regardless of what you buy. As we do look to see here, Chancelotolus again pulls out the R, able to get a 2-man, goes into 4 people, able to flash out. Amumu is able to get the R. Cleanse comes out from Giron. Another Q by the Amumu. Fudumama, Juju, and Shiv able to get a kill onto the Victor in the backline. It looks like they're just going to keep pressing forward. Lilia is able to get in with the flash ultimate, knock them down. Down goes the Draven. Down goes Sensei Randals. Down goes the Baron for the side of TVA. Again, extending that goal lead, extending that pressure across the map. Very smart play from the side of Shiv, Camped, and Voodoo Mama Juju to go around the backside. Despite the bot lane being advanced on there by the Amumu, they were able to pick up on the bot side, and the Draven and Amumu just had to book it and run, not able to finish off the kills. And because of that smart play, they're able to get all the kills. They're able to get the Baron, and hopefully they're able to use this Baron to close out the game here at 21 minutes in.
Now that was obviously calculated by Chance and Garon. They knew the top side was going to be roaming down. They baited Sensei Randall's in there in that 2v4 situation. That may or may not be a little bit of copium talk in there. Still really well played though by TVA. Getting the Baron, they collapsed, and Garon was able to get out. They weren't able to get that bounty. I mean, look at these bounties on the carries: 700, 550. I do believe that Camp had one prior to losing his life there, but end of the day, I still think I'm pretty happy if I'm TVA here. Ooh, the Rakan was just slow getting there. They could have had a free kill, I think, with that no flash.
Yeah, if you're the side of TVA here, again, with this huge lead, it's really on your back to look to close out the game. With the Baron, with nearly a 10k gold lead, what are you doing specifically to kind of close this one out?
I mean, if I'm TVA, well, it looks like they're just going to pick the Ornn here nice and easy. At this point now, if I'm TVA, I'm just barreling down mid, I think. I don't think that Sensei Randall's has any kind of answer. They don't have an Ornn ultimate to start and engage. So you're looking at this as Wani and the Amumu, and I just don't see any world in which Senseis can contest them. I think they have to give up that inhib. They're looking for more of a slower pace here, which I guess you can see, there's no sense in, they don't want to throw the lead that they have here, but I don't know. I just don't see how Sensei Randall's would be able to contest them at pretty much any point this game.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. If you are looking for this 1-3-1 slow, steady approach, as we see it here, I'm not able to get the point out. They are able to get the engage onto the 3 members. A 4v3 here, as Chancelotolus is able to flash out. Andy Gwen's onto the back line, as it looks like they're going to turn on Voodoo Mama Juju. Shiv's able to pick up the kill, though. Lily is able to get back into the fight. They are able to kill Draven. They are able to kill Andy Gwen. They are able to kill someone you don't know. They are able to kill the Amumu. Last one alive. How much longer? Tick tock, tick tock. Chance wants this one. He's not giving this one up as they're looking to siege. Before I can even get the point out, what I was going to say is, I know they're looking for this slow approach, but at the same time, oh my goodness. Chance is finally going to be able, oh my goodness, there it is, the brittle proc. Absolute greed coming out from Chancelotolus as they are able to get the solo kill onto the Ornn. This is just a greedy approach from the side of TVA. You know that the only way back into it, again, with the Ornn being picked, is looking on to getting a numbers advantage. When you are looking for that 1-3-1, and the other team has the options like an Amumu, like a Sejuani, like an Ornn if it is alive, you're able to hit that go button onto an opportunity where you see a numbers advantage, and you potentially, that is your light at the end of the tunnel. If you're the side of TVA, to your point, just group. If you're grouped in a 5v5, there is no way that the side of Sensei Randall's is able to take advantage. TVA is able to pick up the dragon here. They are able to get their second mountain drag of the game. But again, I just think a macro mistake from the side of TVA. Definitely some fun there for the end from Chance. Almost able to kill the Ornn. Unfortunately, Rock beats Wings, and so the Rakan goes down.
Yeah, just a little bit of a goof there. As a Rakan player, I'll say that's quite unfair that Ornn's able to do so much damage with the Brittle. No, that was looking bad there for them. Looks like Sensei Randall's had their one opportunity, collapsing in the 1-3-1 where Action didn't have a TP. Camp had to channel it. They had a brief moment there where they could try to collapse on the Kai'Sa Rakan in particular. They weren't concerned about the Maokai, but I'm gonna be a little honest here after watching the Ornn there and just kind of seeing how this game has gone. I think we should see Andy Gwen stick to the carries, as I think that's more in his wheelhouse, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And we just kind of talked about it a little bit. In terms of team composition, you are picking the Ornn. You know you're going to be on the weak side when you do answer that in bot side with a Draven. We do see Giron dash in, get stunned up by the gravity field, is able to ult forward though, able to finish off Draven. Shiv is on the back line. They are going to continue chasing this Victor. I think I've seen this one before where Chance chases in, but the question is he going to get popped this time? Does not look like it. They are able to have the support there this time, and they are able to finish off the Victor. We do see the Ornn coming in. They aren't able to hit the invisible Shiv. Instead, it looks like Shiv's just going to be able to get that PTA proc along with the Kraken Slayer, chunk Andy Gwen to half. All no names, almost able to get the stun off onto the Lilia, again to no avail. It looks like the side of TVA is going to be able to siege this, so probably going to be a 4v5 here as the Draven is up and almost has cleanse ready. We look at ultimates on the side of TVA. All they have is the Lilia R. Because of this, they are going to look to back off, reset, leave it as triple inhib, try to get Baron and end from there. Now, in terms of smart macro play, that's what I like to see.
Yeah, definitely a little better there. Baron should be there. Is no problem here on the resets. And looking at... decides to not cancel the base right away. Looking at the side of TVA, or really I guess just looking at Sensei Randall's, we kind of called it going into the game. They have triple tank, and what itemization do we have here on TVA? We have a Lilia, Tank Buster going, Leandry's Demonic Embrace, Sork Shoes. We've got Action going Kraken, i.e. Bork, LDR. We've got Kai'Sa with a Kraken, i.e. Fan Dancer. Like, they made this game so easy to itemize for TVA, and kudos to them for playing it out the way they're supposed to. But I mean, when you make it that easy, like what other option is there? As Sejuani mistiming the Baron take there just by a little bit.
Just by a little bit. Again, something to take note of for next game. This is probably the third time now that we've seen the Sejuani able to get into an objective. Again, if it was better timing, probably could have been a steal. Unfortunately for the Sejuani, probably went about 20 seconds too early. It is what it is. But for the side of TVA, they are able to get the kill on the jungler. They are able to follow that up with a kill onto the mid laner and support. A Camp's looking to get potentially shut down here by Andy Gwen. Bonk on the head. Andy Gwen gets his revenge, finishes off the Lilia. Down goes Bambi, but at the same time, down goes Sensei Randall's, as TVA is able to tie the series at 1-1.
Very well played there for Sensei Randall's. Very well played there by Andy, getting his little revenge. He kind of got duked on in lane by the Lilia. He was able to pick up the kill there, but it is going to tie up the series here 1-1. I am going to quick look at the standings, and I believe that is the first game this entire season that Sensei Randall's has lost. So they are now, the undefeated quest is over. Great game from the side of TVA. Huge game from Action. Huge game from Shiv, Guron. Pretty much everybody on TVA had a really good performance, which is great to see that they did not, lose their mental after kind of having the wheels come off the rig there in game number 1.
Yeah, I think in general, moving on to game 3, if you're the side of team volatility, you know what works. We talked about it with the comfort picks at game 1. They definitely the only person that wasn't on a comfort pick, I would say, is Chancelauticus. Again, the shot caller, the one who's looking to make plays. Put him on something aggressive that can pair with the jungler. That way you can make plays like this, get gear on in the game, so that way it's not only on Shiv's back.
Now on the other side here, how obviously the series is 1-1, but you have to think that just the morale shift is just absolutely insane here. As I need 1 second here, I need to let me.
Oh, you don't get any seconds. Keep in mind, we're looking at the side of TVA. They're already starting draft here. We do have TVA is on the red side. From the side of Team Sensei Randal's, we see the Irelia, the Silas, and the Lilia band, along with the Maokai first pick. And then for the side of Team Volatility Academy, you have the Callista band, the Lucian band, and the Hecarim, as it looks like Yone has left up this game, and they look to grab it here. So we are going to see, looks like Shiv's going to play something that has not gone through Five's bans. We talked about it in Game 1. I love the Yone Sejuani combo, and it looks like the side of Team Volatility is at least hovering it. I'd love to see this locked in.
We know that Voodoo Mama Juju can play this. We know a camp can play it, and I'm going to guess that we see a swap here in terms of jungles. I think we see our junglers on each side.
If I had to guess here, I would fully anticipate the Renekton coming out from the side of Team Volatility for that third pick. You're able to pair 2 AD melee carries with the Sejuani. Sejuani is going to look to play through the solo lanes. And again, that means bot lane might be a little more eccentric, if you will, because they're definitely going to need some more AP damage. From the side of Team Sensei Randal's, they are able to lock in the set, though. Now, the question is, where is the set going? Is this going to go bot lane like we've seen in Worlds, playing the support role, being very aggressive, or are we going to see this in the top lane to try and counteract whatever a camp is able to pull out?
I have to consider it could also go to the mid lane. We haven't seen that at Worlds. I think that Sensei Randal's has their cards very wide open. Looks like it's going to be an Akali for someone you don't know in the mid lane. Based on these first 2 games, I'm not sure if I love the kind of skill check matchup. It's a little, a little questionable. I think as of right now, I would lean that the set is going to be going into the top lane, which would, in my mind, give counter pick for the side of Volatility, who just lock in the Kai'Sa again that did super well that first game.
I definitely like the Kai'Sa pick, especially into what you're going to see here. The Kai'Sa is able to give herself a little bit of peel, which enables Chancelauticus to look for those engages, regardless of what they're looking to put him on. Now, we are going to see a lot of ADC bans coming out from the side of Team Volatility. You already have the Lucian, you already have the Callista, and they follow that up with the Sivir, as we do see the Vayne to follow that up. Again, I think that's very smart targeting the ADC. I would not be shocked to see something like an MF come out here, though, for the side of Sensei Randal's. On their side, they are able to ban the support. They do have Nautilus going down. Very interesting to see. I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't follow up with something like the Rakan again. You saw the comfort level, you saw the prowess in terms of being able to make those plays. We do see an Ornn band come out. We have seen a camp play a little bit of Yone top. What are your thoughts? Is Shiv going to get this mid, or are they going to send this Yone top for more of the bruiser build?
I think we should keep this Yone in the mid lane.
I'm never going to count this team out. What I would like to see here, though, we do see the Gnar coming in. I'm totally okay with the Gnar, just because it is so comfortable for their camp. I would have loved to see an Aatrox there, though. Unfortunately, you do not. And this does make sense. Beautiful pick from the side of Sensei Randal's. Despite having 4 ADC bans, you look at what they have going for you. You have the Maokai that's going to be going in. You have the set that's going to be going in. You're going to have the Akali that's going in. If you're the side of Team Volatility, that's what you're worried about. But on top of that, what are you going to have left to get on top of the Kog'Maw Lulu? At this point, they're going to have to pick. Do I peel the Akali set Maokai off of our Kai'Sa Yone? Or do we try to engage onto the Kog'Maw Lulu? You're not going to be able to do both. Very smart draft from the side of Sensei Randall's to kind of force team volatility into that choice. We did talk about it. You do see the Rakan come up here second. Very interesting. Honestly, if I'm looking at this comp, I would have liked to see, again, I talked about it, the Aatrox coming in top lane, having another carry to kind of, for the side of Sensei Randall's to have to worry about. Instead, you are just going to go with that comfort. Overall, I think some very strong picks coming out for both sides. Like similar to game one, I don't think anybody necessarily won the draft, but I do see a lot of potential on both sides for this to kind of really blow up. If you're looking at this draft, which side are you leaning towards in terms of coming out on top?
I think in a former iteration of the Team Volatility main roster, the team from Sensei Randall's was a comp that is very similar to kind of what we would run, where the top side of the map is going in doing their thing, and then the bot lane is there for each other. They're pumping damage in the back line, trying to keep Kog'Maw safe with the Lulu. I think at first glance, I do kind of prefer the side of Team Volatility. I know it's the Kog'Maw Lulu is scary, but if Team Volatility pulls the trigger first and they're able to get onto this Kog'Maw, I just don't know if Sensei Randall's is a comp that's able to react well enough. In my personal opinion, I think that on the other side of that, though, if it's the side of Sensei Randall's and you have the Maokai, the set going in with the Akali flanking from behind, and then Lulu Kog'Maw positioned off to the side in a spot where they can get out damage with the Maokai R coming in, this could be a really good game for Sensei Randall's. But personally, I think it's a little easier to execute for the side of Team Volatility, and I just have to consider the mental state of things when I'm looking at this. I see game one, pretty close up until 20 minutes. Team Volatility kind of got slammed after that. But last game, Team Volatility slammed the entire damn game. And I can imagine that the morale on Sensei Randall's is pretty low here at this point, where Team Volatility's, cloud 9 right now. I think there's a lot of comfort here for TVA. I think pretty much all 5 of these champs are favorites for all of these players. So I think I prefer TVA here. Again, very unbiased. We'll say just interestingly, they've decided to flex the set mid and send the Akali top. Not sure what your thoughts there are on that one.
That is very interesting. I think it makes sense specifically for the set. I think is going to be the main beneficiary of this. I'm sorry, I forgot how to talk English there for a second. But in general, I think it's going to be pretty advantageous for the side of Sensei Randall's. I think the Akali with the Shroud and the Q is going to be able to safely farm into this melee into range matchup when the Gnar is mini. And then if you look for the side of the set into the Yone, again, melee into melee, just going to be able to farm a lot easier as well. I think it's a smart adaptation, but something that I would look to see Yone try to shove into the set. And again, just like we saw last game, even though he is on the Yone, instead of the Akshan, still look to shove and look to roam with your team. You saw it last game. If you are able to roam and impact specifically bot lane, I think this is going to be a very good game for the side of TVA. So the question is, can Voodoo Mama Juju and Shiv enable this bot lane to be as aggressive as they were last game? That's the key, what I'm seeing.
We're gonna have about 3 minutes here again with the good old spectator delay. Taking a look, I want to take a look at the stat sheet here and see if we have I believe we have multiple repeat champs here. Specifically, we see the Sejuani that has gone 1-1. The last time we saw it for Voodoo was against Anima Gaming, where he did go 2-1-16. A very strong stat line, 75% kill participation. And then the Yone, we have seen now twice. He has a combined 15-4 and 15 KDA, averaging about 8.6 CS per minute on that pick. So I don't necessarily think the set is going to be able to stop what the Yone wants to do. So I think that's a really good pick, even though theoretically you don't necessarily like to blind pick your mid so early in the draft, but when you're getting completely banned out on the side of Shiv, I mean, you kind of have to pick something early, and so I think they've set themselves up pretty well. And
Yeah, I think in general, the side of Sensei Randall's just really kind of forced the hand of team volatility. But knowing that if they did not pick the Yone early, Andy Gwen could have just taken that and played a top again, which I think was very good for Andy Gwen. Again, we talked about him needing to play these carry matchups. It gave him a lot of mobility to at least try to get out from the ganks that was coming his way. So I think it was smart from the side of Sensei Randall's to say, hey, you either take this or we're taking it and we're going to smash you with it. And then they were able to answer into that. Again, just very good draft concept. But in general, looking across, I'd say one-on-one matchup, what I'm very interested in seeing is can the Sejuani now flip to the other side of the table, continue to be more proactive and build larger leads in the jungle, or is it just an old no-name thing where they are just more of a proactive player and they are able to see these opportunities? I'm going to put my faith in Voodoo Mama Juju that Sejuani is just the pick that is going to kind of win this matchup. Honestly, if I'm looking at it, I do prefer the Sejuani into the Maokai from the jungle perspective. I think you're able to get in and out of fights a little more safely. That way you're able to, if you don't want to pull the trigger, you're not kind of left for dead, if that makes sense. And that's something that's going to play to Voodoo Mama Juju's advantage here. Looking into the bot lane, what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to see more jungle pressure kind of dictate this lane? Or are we going to see more of a 2v2 advantage for either side?
I think the way that this lane's going to play out, in my opinion, is I think that the jungle focus is going to be more topside. I think Sensei Randall's is going to want to get this Akali head. We saw what Andy Gwen could do that first matchup when they got ahead. I would probably bank on the Maokai playing up to that side, and on the other side of things, in just the straight 2v2, I expect that Lulu Kog'Maw is going to be able to have the shove. It's going to be difficult for Rakan to really go in because Lulu Polymorph can make that pretty difficult there. He doesn't have, the E to get back out. So I would expect that the bot lane is playing more so for objective fights, as I do think that Rakan can have a much larger impact than the Lulu, especially around the objectives, if he's able to get a proper flank off, as we do expect the Gnar and the Sejuani to play more of a direct frontline role.
At the same time, I do think it's very interesting. Taken at face value, I think the Lulu does do pretty well into the Rakan. You are able to get that polymorph off, and that's going to really stop a lot of that flash initial engage from the Rakan. So I think that's a very smart pick into it. And you do see some summoner difference in the bot lane already with the Lulu getting the heal and the Rakan going for the ignite. Lulu's just going to be able to kite backwards very well, and Rakan wants to go in and get the initial burst. So if Rakan's able to get the CC onto the Lulu specifically and not have the polymorph come through, I think mid-game, late game, they're definitely going to be able to just pop the Lulu, and that's going to be advantageous for the Rakan. But specifically in lane, I think it's going to be very hard for the side of TVA to force things bot, as the Lulu is a great counter pick in my opinion.
I do think the cleanse take on Kog'Maw was completely troll. You're not. Just look how many forms of CC there are. There's the Rakan R, there's the Rakan W, there's the Sejuani R, Sejuani E. Like, I don't see any world in which Kog'Maw is going to be able to cleanse a form of CC and get out. So I kind of feel like they just kind of wasted their use of a summoner slot. Other fun fact, this is the first game in all of Commercial Group A that is going to Game 3. Every other series has been a 2-0 on whichever side wins. So this is uncharted territory for this group of commercial players.
That's definitely, I would have never expected that. You love to see it though, the Sata Team Volatility Academy really trying to push the edge here as they are in this second matchup. They're able to take the lessons from the first matchup and kind of apply it here to push the side of Sensei Randall's to the brink here going into this Game 3. Kind of what you talked about in terms of not having experience in this role. What would you expect from these teams having really never navigated this water? Would you anticipate them being a little more nervous, I'd say, and not looking to go for proactive plays and being afraid to make mistakes? Or do you expect them to kind of use that energy and just push the gas pedal to the metal? Can't even finish my question, as we already see the Kai'Sa's able to get half health onto the Kog'Maw. Ignite already came through. It looks like just really greedy pathing from the Kog'Maw, and the side of TVA bot lane able to punish that. So maybe there's already your answer, mistakes being made.
I was going to answer your question and say that I think Sensei Randall's is going to be kind of reeling from that last performance, and I would expect them to try to avoid making similar mistakes that they made in Game 1, where they ended up, it was down 2,000 gold at 4 minutes, and by like 9 minutes it was 4K. But yeah, just not a great path there. Bot lane taking advantage of the fact that they weren't there for the leash, get a huge trade out on the Kog'Maw, and it may not be the end of the world as he did go the boots 4 pot start, but it is a nice little advantage here at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And luckily for the Kog'Maw, he did go that boots 4 pot. So despite the big blunder there in the early game, he is able to sustain back up and have the wave a little bit at an even state. We do see mid lane, Yone's already starting to get quite the push. We do see a gank onto the top side. They're not able to lock down Andy Gwen, but really good, going to help the Nars zone the Akali off of the wave. But we do see Yone already getting that early shove. This is a matchup we talked about early. We want the Yone to be able to shove and get these roams off, get the extended vision. You already see Yone hovering towards the bot side, looking to put a ward there, not only to make sure he's able to play safe and extend his advantage, but it's just extra knowledge for the team to see potentially the jungler getting into this bot side river, enabling this bot lane to also play aggressive. We do see that the set's able to walk up, take some aggressive trades. Now, I did get some insight from our resident #1 player in the LBLCS, D Brownie 2, and apparently into that mid lane knowledge, the set is actually going to body this Yone. So I'm curious to see in a disadvantageous matchup. Now, again, the set was counterpicked into the Yone. Is Shiv able to play this lane as he typically has, find an advantage, push it, and extend it to other lanes? Or will this counter pick really kind of keep Yone in mid lane and not get a lot done? We do see a gank already coming out here potentially from the Maokai. Let's see what they're able to get off bot lane.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ward there for Chance did time out. That was in the tri-burst there, so they don't know the Maokai's there, but they go in, they miss the W, and Maokai shows himself, but it's probably too late.
Yeah, we do see junglers kind of matching their sides here. Sejuani does see the Maokai walking in. I would not look to take this. You're down a level. The bot lane has prio. Mid lane has prio. I'm not quite sure what the Sejuani is doing here. You do see the set looking to move. Luckily, the Yone is able to answer. The Lulu is already out of lane. You do see the flash having to come out from the Sejuani. We talked about it. We thought potentially the Sejuani was just going to be the difference maker in the jungle that we saw the first 2 games. But clearly, Old No Name just kind of really has the trump card on this jungle matchup, if you will. Time for the side of Sensei Randal to start typing jungle diff already early.
Now, the good news here is that Voodoo does have the ability to get double scuttle if they choose to, but I feel like he's just kind of squandered a lot of time. I mean, as it looks like there's a extended fight here in the top lane, is he's just going to pick up the first blood. Akali, again, didn't learn their lesson from last game. I mean, I know this is a little bit more typical on the side of Akali to not go ignite or not go flash, as there's going to be an all-in here.
There was the poly, there was the cleanse, there was the heal. We do see, again, a lot of this disengage able to come out from the side of Sensei Randal's in this bot lane matchup specifically. We do see the Sejuani was warded this entire time. They are able to get in, they are able to get the stun off onto the set, but they do have the shield damage and the shield coming through. Looks like JR and TR able to get out, but are they able to get the chase with the flash W from the Maokai? Sets dashing forward, flashes, gets the kill. Shiv able to take advantage of the absolute greed.
If this league allowed emotes, I think we'd be seeing the happy bee right there. Pretty big mistake there by someone you don't know on the set. They got the kill. They were able to expose the Sejuani kind of sitting on wide open vision, but then they played their hand a little too hard. They give over a kill to the Yone, and just now this lane should be a lot more manageable if, again, if, like you said, our resident expert says that Yone should lose this matchup. Set's not able to pick up an advantage there as they do give a kill back over.
Yeah, in general, again, we kind of talked about it at the beginning. I think a lot of comfort here from the side of Team Volatility in their draft. But in terms of just strong picks, I definitely, in hindsight, do give the edge over to Sensei Randalls. You do get the Akali, which is always going to have backline pressure, even if they are behind in lane. You do see an advantageous CS lead up in the top lane. They're just going to scale very easily. And again, you are going to see the Rakan looking to go in. So you might see an opportunity where the Kai'Sa is alone quite often, and Akali's going to look to pressure that. In the jungle, we talked about how pivotal this Maokai Sejuani matchup is. We do see it a little more even this game, which maybe it is the Sejuani just kind of being the pick here to even that out. We've seen so much Maokai, both in top jungle, just a big pick in the meta. Shiv's able to take a big trade, is able to dodge the W damage. This is what we talked about. The Yone just has so much mobility to outplay the set. I think in terms of 1v1, if everybody's landing abilities, the set definitely has the advantage. But just due to the mobility and Shiv being better, he's able to outplay that. We do see a great trade into the top lane. Acamp's able to dodge the Shuriken on the way out, so it does not have the trade back damage from the Akali. Vudamama Juju was able to get in. The Kog'Maw does have the flash away. We do see Shiv down here, able to get onto the Kog'Maw. Does he have enough damage to finish him off? He does look like he does, and we aren't able to get the kill onto the Lulu. But again, look at the size of this wave that's going to die under the tower. Kog'Maw dies, does not able to get the XP, not able to get the gold, and that's a great play. We talked about it. Yon needs to get out of lane, make plays. It doesn't matter if he's in a disadvantageous matchup. He's able to help Giron get into the game. Chancelauticus and Voodoo Mama Juju also being there, also trying to force the play. I love this identity from the side of TVA. They know they have to win through bot lane, and they're forcing it. This is what you like to see from a team that knows how they win.
Yeah, I did want to chime in there as I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Thankfully, Maokai didn't get any KP for that. Kind of wasted his time. But really well played there by TVA. Catching the side of Sensei Randalls slipping a little bit. You know, they knew the Kai'Sa was recalling, but they were not expecting the mid-jungle roam to the bot lane to pick up both those flashes and the kill on the Kog'Maw. Lane's gonna be a lot harder as Shiv goes all the way in. I don't know about that one from the set going in with the ultimate. I think that was kind of troll. He could have survived, in my opinion, but instead, gonna give over the kill. That's gonna be a dragon as well, and again, we've seen this on the side of Sensei Randalls, and now you see it on the side of TVA. The Maokai trying to solo the Rift Herald.
He is able to flash out, does have to use ulti, but it looks like Shiv's able to extend the chase. The sapling does get the slow, but Sejuani's there, and Shiv's able to get the kill. Early in this game, Shiv's up 4-0. TVA does have 1,000 gold lead and a dragon. They weren't able to secure the Herald, but we do see the proactivity coming out from the side of TVA. We talked about it. Are we going to see a nervous tick from either side, some anxiety, or are they going to take this momentum and they're going to run with it? And TVA is not shying down from these fights. We do see two turret plates go over to the bot side of Sensei Randalls, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you want to look at it, the Lulu was there to take the gold as well. So not as much gold going onto this Kog'Maw, who has a ton of attack speed at the moment. So if a fight does break out where we do see a lot of CC coming through and autos are not able to come off, you're going to see a big advantage for the side of TVA.
Yeah, maybe it's just a Maokai thing with, I don't think this is going to lead to a kill here, where the Maokai just thinks they have the ability to solo these objectives, and they just simply don't. I mean, he had to burn his flash, he was able to get out, but really not worth it in my opinion when you consider that they also got the kill on him, they got the kill on set, and they were able to pick up the dragon. Just really well played here so far from TVA. Not quite as dominant of an early game, but it would be pretty hard to be as dominant as they were in that game number 2.
Yeah, and on the top side, you do see the Sejuani show there just to try to help the Gnar get the wave under tower. That way the Kali does not have the 1v1 pressure again for the solo kill. Sejuani is able to back, instantly starts running bot lane with ultimate, as you do see Shiv try to roam, spotted out by a ward, but again, they know the identity. Keep top lane safe and then force through bot lane. Continuously you see in their macro decisions that this is what they're playing towards.
Yep. Well played there by Chance to just hold the wave just long enough to where it can stay in this nice little spot as Sejuani is pathing down. He does have the opportunity to get here before the Maokai.
Same with the Yon coming from mid, going to get there before the Sejuani. Or before the set, I apologize. The Sejuani ult comes onto the Maokai. Here comes the Guron ult into the Yone ult, and down goes the tree. We got the Lumberjacks out here. Guron's able to pick up the kill. Set's able to get in with the 3-man stun from the ult, but they are able to finish off the Lulu. Big damage coming out from the Set W. Kog'Maw's in the background hitting W with lethal tempo. They are not able to finish off Chancelauticus, and that's a 2-for-0 trade. A lot of ultimates being used there from both sides, as we see again the side of TVA coming out in an advantageous matchup because you have the Sejuani there first. You have the Yone there first. Great macro rotations from the side of TVA, playing through bot lane with mid lane being there as well, being the one to kind of take the gold from these matchups. Is able to dodge the W damage there, taking these trades. At the end of the day, if you're not getting hit by that W damage, what does it matter? The Yone is able to get these advantageous trades, and they're going to continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal, grow this lead. It is about 2,000 now. Again, about 1,000 gold for every 4 minutes in here since we last checked in. Very smart play. Now they're going to have to look to do this again with Dragon coming up in about a minute and a half. Acamped is able to stop the Akali ult, or the recall. Does take about half their health for it though. Is able to has the refillable potion, able to heal up. Maokai is going to drop the Rift Herald though. Very smart play in my opinion to at least get the gold onto the Akali. Akali again, always going to have that threat onto the Rakan and the Kai'Sa. I think this is the right play for the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think just talking back to that last play that we saw, I think we immediately saw the consequence of that play on the Rift Herald. Maokai had to burn his flash. He had to use that to get out of the Rift Herald snafu, and right there, Voodoo Mama Juju kind of collapsed. He saw that was we'll actually hold that thought here as. Never mind, there's no play
there is no never mind. Look how deep the Maokai is. You do see the Sejuani and the Yone already roaming up. You already talked about it. Maokai does not have flash. Has to use the smite to kind of try and get away. Chancelauticus tries to get in, able to get stopped by the R. Flashes in with his R, is able to get on the Akali. Maokai passed up trying to get away, but Shiv's there, gets the proc. Sejuani gonna get the stun. Oh, the Acamp flashing with the R into the stun. Set just able to R back under tower though. Not enough damage coming through. Again, another kill onto the Maokai, who is flashless, finally coming up here in a second. But again, no answer elsewhere on the map from the side of Sensei Randal's. You have the Kai'Sa 2v1 in the bot lane, but again, because the Kog'Maw only has attack speed, Kai'Sa is able to just sit there and have no pressure onto her, again, because of the Lulu as well. If they're just going to sit here and do nothing, this Lulu needs to get out of lane and match the pressure that Chancelauticus is putting on the map. We saw this last game when Chance is able to move around, make plays, make these macro rotations to help the team out. This is where the snowball is coming into effect. Great macro play here.
100%. Just it was pretty nice there watching the Gnar with the flash R into the double stun. Very well played. Just a little unfortunate that he got immediately set dunked into the tower. He was able to survive. TVA able to pick up this dragon. They're keeping that 2k gold lead. They are in a very good spot here. You'd have to imagine that they're going to be looking to contest this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think in terms of the side of TVA, they're going to look to try to punish this Kog'Maw here. Sejuani is looking to path down. A lot of vision, though, set up due to the 2v1. Chancelauticus able to heal. Not looking to jump in, though. Very interesting. You see the Sejuani coming straight out of the bush. Not able to land the Q. Almost able to get the proc off. They are able to stun the... Flash out, cleanse out. Kog'Maw's able to get away. Lulu alt burned as well. Maokai's gonna flash in. W onto Guron. Not able to get anything though. Now Shiv's coming down. Ultimate comes through from the Sejuani. Not able to get the stun just for the slow. So much being burned from both sides bot lane where there is no objective. They're really just going for kills here. We do see Akali TP top lane behind the Gnar. Is able to dodge the Shuriken. That is huge. Akali's able to keep pressing forward, no flash onto the Gnar, and that means a death despite dodging the Shuriken. No resistances onto the Gnar yet, so the Akali's able to get the solo kill. Again, we talked about the Rift Herald gold going onto the Akali. This is the win con for Sensei Randal's, and both teams are kind of playing to the win con and looking to play into this game. We do have 2 dragons on the side of TVA, though. We do have dragon coming up in 3.5 minutes. Honestly, I think that's going to be the powder keg that really blows this game open one way or the other.
Man, I think if I'm this Maokai, I need to start just trying to enable. I mean, I know the Akali's getting these solo kills one-on-one, but they're just not able to get much more after this. I think Sensei Randall's needs to shift their focus towards this Rift Herald in particular. The gold lead is still relatively manageable, and the Akali is clearly stronger than the Gnar. So I think if they're able to secure a Rift Herald and maybe try and accelerate this Kog'Maw a little bit, I don't think they need to put more gold into the Akali necessarily. They don't even put it onto a tank set mid. I don't know. The doesn't seem to be a strong game plan from Sensei Randall's at this point, which is kind of what I was fearing based on how that game 2 went. I think it's just a much stronger sense of purpose here for TVA as they are on the Rift Herald.
And not only sense of purpose, but just like I'm going to say macro sense, we do see the Akali roam down bot to try to force something onto the bot lane. The bot lane just recalls, and then they're going to try to make a play onto the mid laner. Shiv's just going to be able to solo. Down goes Set, even after burning Flash, and they get the Rift Herald. That's most likely going to be either a tier 1 in mid lane or top lane, wherever they want to go with it. It looks like they're going to try to go mid. The Maokai and the Akali, though, are going to be there to answer it. They don't even look for who's potentially going to be there. They're just going to try to force their hand. I would have liked to see the Gnar just stay with them to at least ensure this happens. I don't believe this is going to fall off first proc. No, it looks like they're going to have just a little bit of health left on. Not the best Rift Herald there, in my opinion. But the Akali goes in, trying to force something. They do get the stun from the Sedge. And the flash forward from Shiv gets the kill. Again, the Akali, we saw it in the first game where we had the LeBlanc coming out from Shiv into the Sejuani, not able to do anything. You see it again from the Akali. They are able to finish off the mid tower, not able to kill the Maokai. We do see bot lane. The Kog'Maw's finally able to kind of wreak havoc down here. They have the lethal tempo. They have the speed up from the Lulu. Now, the Kog'Maw is going to be something we have to worry about moving forward. We do see the Yone and the Sejuani looking to roam here. Again, no ultimate on the Yone, though. They're going to look to pull off as they see a potential roam coming from the Set as well. Now, in this entire time, look at the Gnar on the top side. Got the first tower, got a lot of minions to get back into the game. We look across the gold lead here. We're at about 27,000 gold on the side of Sensei Randall's, almost 32,000 on the side of Team Volatility for about 5,000 difference here 19 minutes into the game. Looking specifically who that's on, we see top lane pretty much even. Again, we did say the Akali is the win con, seeing several solos, but that last play there really brought Gnar even, actually ahead of the Akali. We see in jungle, very even, tick for tack there. This is something we wanted to see with the Sejuani pick for Voodoo Mama Juju, keeping that even rather than getting gaps like we saw in the other 2 games. Looking mid lane, almost a 4,000 difference, 3,500 gold ahead, an entire IE from the side of Shiv. In the bot lane, again, about 1,000 gold up in total, but across the board, we talked about it. Shiv is the heart and soul of this team, and they are playing to it by playing through bot lane, the easy kills you're going to see there. We do see the side of TVA setting up for this dragon. We talked about it 3.5 minutes ago. This is going to be the powder keg. Now, the question is from the Sensei Randalls, do you contest this 3rd dragon, or do you just let it go and play for 4th? I think when you're this far behind, that's the option. But again, they're still hovering around the area. The Lulu gets picked by both Shiv and Chancelauticus. We do see the Maokai R come out. Akam's able to solo the Kog'Maw. The continuous fight. This is 5v4. Akali was in the top lane almost the entire time. Akali comes in, able to pick off a kill at the end, though, but it looks like the side TVA is just going to keep pressing forward. They get double slows onto the Akali. Voodoo almost goes down there, able to avoid death, just like you see in Game of Thrones. When you see death, what do you tell it? Not today. The side of TVA, they are going to keep Gnar on the dragon. They are calling for help here. They want to secure this 3rd dragon. That way they have Hextech Soul as a win con. We do see Shiv here pressing forward onto the Maokai again, not letting this jungler contest. Great macro play coming out from the side of TVA. They know exactly where they can force. This is great shot calling across the board.
A little overzealous there for a moment. The Sejuani and Kaisa, I'm sure someone was saying we get both Dragon and Baron, and then they looked back at their health bars and realized that would have been a bad call. Very well played there in that team fight. I mean, look what happened. The Lulu walked away from the Kog'Maw, who was clearly pumping a ton of damage, and without the Akali there, you have to be prioritizing this Kog'Maw. She walks up on her own, gets killed, and that left Kog'Maw completely vulnerable to get killed by this Gnar that's building full damage. Very well played by TVA. I think Sensei Randalls is playing pretty poorly this game, to be honest. I think that the set in particular, I don't hate the idea of like tank set necessarily, but what's the point in going Conqueror if you're going tank? Like go like the phase rush so you can automatically set up an ultimate. Go aftershock or do something that's actually going to provide value as a tank rather than just going like a generic keystone without thinking of what the rest of your build's going to look like.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And now that they do have the third dragon secured, and with Baron coming up, it looks like TVA is going to look to rotate to the top side, where they are almost able to pick off Annie Gwen. You did see the Sejuani R coming through as well as the Rakan R. The Sejuani is just going to be able to get out of there with about half of the health. This Kog'Maw is pumping damage, just like you alluded to. In general, it looks like TVA is going to try to continue setting up around this Baron, though, as the set is now looking to match the Gnar, something we anticipated to see from the start, but again, they opted to send the set mid, which in hindsight, we talked about it, we thought it was going to be advantageous for the set, but all in all, I think it just gave the Akali an opportunity to get into the game and be a win condition. Now we're looking back at it 20 minutes in. Do you think it was the right call to have the set and Akali in the lanes they are as opposed to swapped?
I don't think that the side of Sensei Randalls did enough to enable this Akali. I mean, like you already mentioned, the fact that Camp was able to burn that tower just allowed the gold to be kept even enough to where even though he was able to get some solo kills in the top lane, it just didn't matter all that much. And we see on the other side, by going this tank set and by just being, call it what it is, at a bit of a skill deficit, as we see a TP in from a camp. I just don't think that the tank set really allowed for much to go right here.
We do see the flash coming out from the Kog'Maw. We do see Chance still going in, though. R is going to be down for both the Gnar and the Rakan. Another miscommunication there, as we do see. But they're going to go back in. They do get the Lulu R onto the Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is able to stay alive. They're looking to turn and burn onto Andy Gwen. He does not go down despite the Ignite. And Shiv's able to flash forward. Giron goes into 3. They are able to finish off on the front line. It does look like set does go down to Shiv in the end, as they do not lose anybody on the side of TVA, but they are able to pick up 3 kills. Ultimately, that's going to be a Baron. A Camp's just going to look to zone the Maokai off here. This is what I wanted to see from the side of TVA. They do have the advantage, but they're going to give Maokai zero opportunity to get in there and steal. Something we were nervous about the previous games, where when Old No Name was on the Sejuani, able to contest a lot of objectives. A Camp being able to be the bully, zone him off, Baron secured. It looks like the side of TVA is up 10,000 gold, 3 dragons, and a Baron here, 24 minutes in, with Hextech Soul coming up in a minute 20. From the side of Sensei Randalls, what is your one hope here, or is there any?
I think that last fight was their best hope. I mean, it was super well played by TVA. They were making the good comms, knowing exactly when to shift that focus. They decided to re-engage after going in initially on the Kog'Maw, burning his flash. But then the re-engage and the immediate shift, everybody turned onto the Akali, negated that super strong champ, and from there it's just easy money for TVA. I don't necessarily it's Lulu Kog'Maw 2v1. It just doesn't even matter. Just gets absolutely disintegrated by this Yone. I think that things are near. I think they're dire for Sensei Randalls. I don't necessarily know what they're going to do here as just insult to injury, just the absolute the layering of the CC. They're just not going to let him get away, even if it means that he's going to die. Oh, no, they're not able to kill him. That is a very tanky Maokai, and that was 2 non-damage dealers. But end of the day, I think if you're Sensei Randalls, you're praying for a throw here. But even if they lose this game, they do have to, take solace in the fact that they have been undefeated up to this point, and they are still by far the favorite to win this whole group. But I think today is a good showing that TVA has become a really good team. This is going to be, knock on wood, but this would be their third consecutive Series 1 after starting the season 0-2.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Unfortunately for the side of TVA, they're hitting their stride after the LBLCS decided to cast them 2 weeks in a row. But ever since they're kind of off that stage and off that pressure, they've been really taking it to their opponents. Again, they do have their blemishes here and there, but I think the big thing that they're really taking away is they're learning from their opportunities and from their mistakes and really applying those lessons moving forward. Whether that be in the game immediately or afterwards, kind of just talking and discussing, they've done a very good job of using their knowledge to kind of press their advantages afterwards. We do see Shiv not able to get the kill, burning the ultimate. Really no return there. But in general, they were able to pick up the Hextech Soul. Look at that slow coming out from the Kaisa W. In general, look at the Kog'Maw going a third damage item. I would have loved, I know this is most likely going to be the Gauntlet Kog'Maw. Grab that health third. That way you're at least able to try and stay alive and kite out this Yone. I think it's absolutely greedy. Continue building into damage, as honestly, the Kog'Maw has to be the one to carry these fights, and I just don't see it happening at the moment, considering the Yone is able to 2v1 at this rate. Now, looking across the map, we do see great siege here coming out from the side of TVA. They were able to get a kill as they get the pick onto the Lulu. Able to flash away. Giron's able to get the follow-up damage. Chanceloticus able to get the R. Camp's ulting in, or not ulting, Eing in, but he does not have Meganar, so he does go down. Chanceloticus is going to go down to the set, and it looks like Shiv is not able to help in the base, but Giron says, no worries, I'll do it myself. They are able to get 4 kills despite handing 2 back. It looks like Giron's not going to die to the tower. Andy Gwen has 3 procs of the Sedge passive on, not able to go in onto the Shuriken. They are able to fall back. We do have a 3v1 at the moment on the map. The question is, what can the side of TVA do to use this pressure? I think it's smart there from the side of Sensei Randal's to kind of take that opportunity to at least get some gold onto their team. You do see it looks like Kog'Maw is going to build into an Immortal Shield Bow. What are your thoughts on Shield Bow third as opposed to the tankier build Kog'Maw in this scenario?
I think I get where you're coming from in terms of Kog'Maw needing to carry, but I think in that sentence, I don't think that Kog'Maw can afford to go tank. You've got a Maokai, you've got a tank set, and you've got an Akali that while they can burst out a single target, they are not great for consistent damage. So I think Kog'Maw just has to go for this more aggressive, damage-oriented build. Now with that said, I don't know how much it's gonna matter because they are getting nuked in every fight, and the Lulu is not in a position to protect them. That's where maybe the battle song, the more offensive item, not the best choice. As Andy Gwen looking for an all-in.
Great ultimate actually coming through from Giron, and he's able to live through the ignite coming through. We do see Shiv looking to 1v4 with the oh man, great timing on the ultimate. Just unfortunate from the set, not able to get the knockback
Fantastic.
with the E. You know what? That's what we take. We talked about it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I'll say that's definitely some fortunate timing. That would have been a big shutdown going over. But in general, I think it's just so far ahead. You saw it. The Akali, we talked about it, was the win con from the side of from Sensei Randal's, but they just were not able to snowball hard enough where the Kaisa is able to live through it. We do see the flash into the ultimate from a Camp. Very nice play to set up Giron. They're able to take 2 kills. With 3 down, Shiv's just able to press forward and into the bot lane. I don't see how Sensei Randal's is able to withstand this siege here coming up.
Nor do I. They're shoving 4 strong on the top side. No one's there to answer the Yone in the bot lane. It looks like Sensei Randall's probably going to try to make one last hoorah here in a numbers disadvantage.
Oh, big set R actually is able to get the W off as well, but they just turned right onto the Akali. Great communication from the side of TVA. They kill the set next. They follow it up, killing off the side of Sensei Randal's. They're going to go down 2-1. This is going to be a win for the side of TVA. Great execution here, both in terms of setting up their carries, but as well as in the draft as well. I think this was very well executed. We questioned why they switched sides. We turned out it was to secure this Yone away so they didn't have to worry about the counter pick. You know what? Very well played across the board. This was a great week. You talked about it. TVA continuing that snowball, building that momentum, and going right towards getting into the end of the regular season, to getting close to playoffs. This is the perfect time to turn it on.
Absolutely massive week here. Again, this team had not lost a single game, not even a series. Just a single game in a series they hadn't lost. And TVA comes in here and beats them 2-1. Absolutely big underdogs here today. Again, unfortunately, no stream. On the LBLCS channel, they didn't get their revenge on Sensei Randal's, but this puts them in a great spot. Again, they're still going to need some help if they want to try to take first in this group. They will need a win from Anima Gaming next week against Sensei Randal's, but end of the day, this team is on fire currently, winning 6 of the last 7 games, and they are in a great spot heading in here to week 6. I'm very excited for where this team's going.
No, I definitely agree. I did just message the captain of TVA, see if we can get an interview here from one of the players. We'll let them decide who really wants to come in and take advantage of this stage. But in general, I think this was a great opportunity for TVA to kind of showcase the improvement they've made. You talked about it. This was the revenge tour game, and they took full advantage, applying all the lessons. It looks like Shiv's going to be the one joining us, has the carry performances across all 3 games. Shiv, welcome in. Before we even get into our analysis, let's get some live reactions. What do you think of all 3 opportunities and for you to put the team on your back and really carry them forward?
I think all 3 games went pretty well for me. Obviously, first game we kind of fumbled the ball a little bit, but game 2 and game 3, like our bot lane stepped up super hard. So yeah, I think overall like it was just a team effort for game 2 and game 3, and then game 1 we just kind of let the Lucian me through, which I think we should have banned maybe probably. But we didn't have any insight on their ADC, so.
Yeah, definitely understand that, but seriously, very well done. I think for me, kind of something that we talked about in the cast was game 1. You were definitely able to get out of lane and kind of shut down the Lucian, snowballing your lead a little bit. But after those kills, your bot lane just was not able to press the advantage. Whereas in the second and third game, when you were able to get out of lane and partner with your bot lane, you were able to snowball that into towers, into plates, into CS advantages, and into objectives. I think overall, very great macro coming out from you guys. Who was really taking the shot calling lead? I know there's been a lot of back and forth between the voices on the team. I know Voodoo Mama Juju, you have a big voice in a camp, and I know Chance Aloticus is taking a lot of that recently. Who is really looking to make these decisions to kind of move you guys around the map?
Yeah, so I think like early game or before the game even loads, like we as a team like we try to talk and like about what our game plan would be for early game. But like as the game goes on, it's mainly like me and Chance like talking about like what we should do. But obviously everyone gives their input, right? I would say like the main voices are probably me and Chance. Yeah.
Nah, love to hear that insight. And how good did it feel to finally get the Yone after getting 5 bans thrown at you in game 2?
I was actually pretty surprised they gave Yon. I thought they're gonna first pick Yon like they did game 1, but I guess they thought Maokai was more OP, so
Yeah, I
it
definitely
felt
agree.
pretty
And
good.
my last question for you personally is the last game, we were very curious what kind of sparked you guys picking red side. We knew that the first pick was going to go over. Were you guys nervous about giving up that first pick, or what did you have in store?
Well, since they lost game 2, they get to choose side selection for game 3, right? So I
Mhm.
thought they chose blue side.
Gotcha. And even regardless, like you guys not having that first pick, were you nervous, or was this kind of like was this draft just what ended up falling into your lap, or what was kind of the game plan going into Game 3 draft before you saw that Yone available?
Yeah, so I think our only concern was just giving their ADC Lucian. So as soon as we knew that Lucian and Callisto were banned for him, like we were kind of like okay with whatever they took first pick, because we had like responses to each one of the eight anything that they chose to first pick, we'd have a response to. So we didn't really feel any pressure being red side and letting them like first pick the Yone or Maokai or whatever, because if they do that, they leave the other champ open. So we're fine with the trade as long as like we ban the Lucian and Callisto.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great performance there, game 3. I called on the cast that I felt like morale, obviously, like game 1. You guys were, the gold lead was pretty big by the end, but the first 20 minutes was pretty close, and then there in game 2, like the roof got blown off the house, and I imagine that Sensei Randall's mental was in the absolute toilet at that point. and Game 3 kind of reflected that. I personally really did not agree with their decision to go blue side and pick the Maokai. I think if they were to pick the Yone, where they had the most success, I think that would have made a lot more sense in my opinion. But end of the day, you guys were able to not only win this series here, but pick up the first games of the entire season against Sensei Randal's, as they had gone undefeated 8-0 up to this point. Where's the team mindset at this point, heading into the last week of the season, and what are your guys' expectations as we look for playoffs here in a couple weeks?
Definitely be like lock in playoffs. I think we are probably already locked in. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I think we just have like a couple more games left. So just focus on winning. We're on a massive win streak right now, so just keep the win streak up, and then kind of see like what the other team's strength are once we get to playoffs. That's kind of like the focus now.
Yeah, it looks like Nerd Herd and Anima Gaming still have to play their Week 5 game. Looking at the standings, it doesn't matter too much to you guys necessarily who wins that, as I believe if you win next week, there's no way for either of those teams to make playoffs. So Destiny's in your guys' control at this point. You mentioned you guys are on a 6 out of 7 win streak. You're dropping that one game 1, but super strong at this point. Definitely was fun watching you on Rampant, especially that game 1. Just as a support, I know I was not having fun watching that Nami get
No, yeah.
get nuked over and over.
True.
Yeah, just looking to wrap up this here. I know we've asked you a lot of questions and want to get you back to your team to kind of enjoy the win. Anything you want to call out? I know this is a little bit of a newer experience here with Team Volatility Academy. I'm not sure exactly what your background is in the LBLCS, but anything you kind of want to take the opportunity to reflect on as we're midway through this season, or any shout outs you want to give here before we go off air?
I mean, I guess I'll just shout out my team. In the past, like when we lost the first game, we seemed like pretty down, and it would kind of snowball in the second game. But like, I feel like this series, like despite losing the first game, we still like managed to stay strong and come up with a game plan to help us win game 2 and 3. So yeah, shout out to everyone on the team.
No, I definitely like to hear that humbleness. Shiv, thank you for taking the time here. Again, great performances across all 3 games. I thought your micro and macro decisions were phenomenal. Aaron, any last second comments here?
Nope, not at all. Just a great series, and looking forward to seeing the team secure playoffs next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Of course, thank you. So looking to wrap up the call here today, a big advantageous matchup here for the side of TVA. Again, we talked about it there in the interview as well as pre-series, just the importance leading into the playoff implications. You heard it here. If they are able to get at least one win, sounds like next week they are able to kind of lock down at least the second seed into the group, securing playoffs. So very close to putting that best foot forward and getting the Team Volatility Academy team into the playoffs for their first split. Going over to the owner, Team Volatility Academy, how does that make you feel, knowing that this was really the first time the brand really branched out, if you will, and having the success continue?
I mean, for me, obviously, a lot of tryouts, went into constructing this academy roster, particularly in the mid and ADC roles. I mean, we identified pretty early that Chance was our pick for support. But definitely, those first 2 weeks were a little rough. Obviously the team was still trying to find themselves and find the voice in calls and kind of what strategies was going to work for them. Even still, Shiv was still putting up crazy numbers in those games, especially that one Irelia, literal 1v9 attempt against, I believe it was against Sensei Randal's. But yeah, I've very much enjoyed watching these games. It really is fun. Getting to watch the like you said, the quote unquote brand kind of get out there, and it's nice that I don't necessarily have the pressure of playing. The team's doing really well. I'm really enjoying watching these games play out here, and I think they're really starting to gel. And I think even if they make the playoffs as a 2 seed, this might be one of those situations where the teams maybe overlook this squad because they're number 2 seed, but I think they could really make some strong noise here as we enter playoffs after next week.
I definitely agree. Well, once again, thank you for joining me on this call. I think this week, well, really the last week and this week have been super fun. I'm very excited for next week's matchup as a Team Volatility Academy looks to lock up a playoff spot. I look forward to having that opportunity. We'll see if LBLCS kind of picks that one up. If not, you're going to have quality on air time from myself and Les. So see you guys next time.
Have a good night.